The people that just came from Brazil and stayed with me, they brought me like a box from the home, the star fruit.
Great.
Good morning, everybody. Good
morning.
Yay. We have a special treat. I know I say this every time because I love my instructors. John Hahn is with the Bolt Group. Joanne Bolt has an expansion team in multiple offices, which is a Keller Williams thing. Mm-hmm. And John has a wealth of information. Y'all are just going to be taking notes, and he's going to give you resources. It is truly amazing. Every time in the comments, y'all write, "Oh my gosh, I learned so much. This is new," and so this day will be no exception.
Oh my gosh, that was a big intro. I gotta look
Yeah,
up to it now.
yeah. But he's just a wealth, and he's such a good teacher, and you will learn so much. So.
All right.
Take it away, John.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So Stacy said I'm with the Bolt Group. I'm the director of sales on our team, so I still help buyers and sellers, but we have 8 agents and 2 admins. We had people here in this office for a while till Kaplan left to go work for Open Door, I think it was. So, forget that. We have people in Brazelton office. I'm based in Suwanee, is where our hub is for our team. We have an office in Olaf, Kansas. An agent who used to work on our team who's now moved out there with her husband, so she's our first out-of-state expansion person. And also in the East Cobb office as well. So. We can talk later about teams if anybody wants some insight. My plan is at noon, we'll break for 15 minutes, so we can talk about that then. Part of this Ignite, right, is to get your business started, which is about talking to people every day, right? So if you've got phone calls to make, we'll do 12 to 12:15 on phone calls as well, or grab lunch, whichever you want to do in that time period. So I've been doing this for almost 11 years now, and I'm sure, is real estate anybody's first career here? No. Different times in life, you end up in different places. So I used to work right at Abernathy and 400 in that first building that sits right there as you're going to 400 on the right-hand side, the North Park building, for Sony Music. So I was in the music business for about 20 years, and then people quit going into stores to buy CDs, so I needed to figure something else to do, and that was 2009. And somehow I got talked into, with some friends who were in real estate, into getting into real estate. And 2009 was not the best time ever to start in real estate, let me tell you. So it took me 6 months to get my first deal. So if you haven't had a deal yet, don't fret. Your business is out there. Who has business on the books already, just starting out?
Same page. That's great.
Right. Yeah, I think you'll talk to a lot of agents. It's sort of the same way. So when I started, I joined a team at the time because I thought it would help short circuit my learning curve in the business, and it did. So that, for me, it worked out great. And then my team ran its course, and I was a solo agent for about 3 years. I'm not sure this is anybody. And then I know myself well enough, so my office, I was working with Remax in Sandy Springs, and I live we had moved from Milton to South Forsyth, and now we're up on the lake, and want to get to that office to take advantage of things was getting tougher, so Joanne Bolt was in the Remax office, and we started talking, and I joined her team, and she was working out of Holcomb Bridge, so that was better. And then we eventually moved to KW after about a year there together. So I've been with her for about 4 years now too. Teams for me make sense mostly because I like working with people. It's been my whole background every day, and I think it motivates me. And I think for me, working out of my house primarily because my office was down here, was like, I don't want to drive an hour to go to that meeting. It took me like an hour and 15 minutes to get here. And I'll paint my shed instead, right? You know, and, the more you start doing things like that, you find out the less you're doing on your real estate business. So it's a motivation factor for me, for sure. So today's class, though, is, what's today's class?
CMAs, price to sell with your
Price to
CMA.
sell, CMAs, okay? So I'll preface this with, I think picking the right price to put a house on the market at is probably one of the most difficult things in real estate to do. So I'm going to show you the approach that sort of our team works on, because I think it takes a lot of the guesswork out of it. And I think when you have a conversation with somebody who's going to list their house, you're able to show them every step of the way how you develop the price, first off the price range, and then picking a price that is going to make the most sense for them to get their home sold as quickly as possible. Because it's just, you know, as you know, if you've been in houses already, you know, if you're working with a buyer, you're going to find out one of the first things they ask you is like, you know, is this house priced well? Is it priced right? You know, so pricing comes up, and you need to know how to price a house both as a buyer's agent and, more importantly, as a listing agent. But that's really what we're going to focus on today, is those things. So, you know, but I know Stacey's asked me to talk, you know, so they always ask to talk a little bit about what's going on, you know, how we got into the business, what it was like a little bit, so you know a little bit about me now. You know, and also about then, you know, what are you guys doing right now to get your business started? What's working for you?
Talking to people. Yeah.
Talking to people.
Yeah.
I did go to, I went to family reunion, and then I'd gone to the mega camp one for KW in August. Family reunion's great, by the way. If you want to like figure out like where your place in real estate might be, because there's so many different ways to do real estate, right? There's so many ways to get clients. There's so many different ways that you can decide to attack the business and find your niches. You know, where on our team we really talk about you really need to have 3 buckets of business, right? If you start concentrating on, you know, 5 or 6 different things, you spread your activities too far and wide, and it's tough for you to see that return on your investments. It's things like you decide you want to farm your neighborhood, and so you're going to start a postcard campaign. And if you only do it once every 3 months for a year, you're probably not going to have a ton of success, because it's like any other kind of advertising. It's repetition and frequency. So if you're going to farm your neighborhood, you need to walk around and meet people. You need to send postcards. You need to stop by with some little kitchen magnet. You know, it's all about becoming top of mind to people. So, but that's a legitimate, great way to have 1 bucket of your business. I've always had a ton of internet business. When I started in 2009, it was completely different than it is today, right? With RE/MAX, there were 3 of us who fielded internet leads from RE/MAX. And you get a lead and you call them and they're like, oh my God, thank you for calling me. I've been trying to get a hold of an agent for 3 days, okay? That is not today's reality, you know, at all. But it was amazing. So, I mean, I did tons of deals off the internet. Today, you know, you got to pay to play if you want to be in the internet game. And, you know, a lot of individuals and teams play the Zillow game. Zillow's changed now in Metro Atlanta. Zillow, you don't pay to have your face up on the side when you're looking at things. You know, you get selected by Zillow because you've been doing business with them in the past, and now you give them a cut when you close with them. So what Zillow's now, it's called the Zillow Flex program, they want to find agents who will handle Zillow leads and get people to the closing table so they get paid. So everything changes in real estate, you know. There's other good ways, Realtor.com, you can buy leads too. It's a legitimate way to do business. Some people don't like to do business that way, you know what? And if you can develop your business without having to pay somebody else for your leads, it's the simplest and best thing that you can possibly do. But newer agents, sometimes it's tougher to get that accomplished too, till you get over that hurdle. And I will tell you that the business becomes a lot easier as you get into your third year. And that's because the people you've been working with your first year, who bought and sold, who you're keeping in touch with, they start to refer you, and people who you've sold a house to, their family situation changes, and they are like, hey, I need a bigger house. I found one I want to go look at on Saturday. I had 2 of those calls last week. I'm out with both of them. People I've sold houses to before, got offers in with one couple already, so I'm hoping to find out today. And we're going to talk about that, the listing that we put an offer in on too. But you've heard it, and it doesn't get any simpler. It's something I heard at one of these meetings. Real estate is simple if you focus. There's lead generation, and there's everything else. And just make it part of your day. Make it part of your weekly goal. That's what Ignite does well. How many people you get to talk to about real estate today? There's just no getting away from it. You got to put yourself out there. There's different ways to do that too, without just opening the phone book and calling people, right? Start with your sphere, your Facebook friends, LinkedIn people, church, your neighborhood, all those things. Let them know you're in the business. Start ongoing conversations. Start developing a database. Grade your database. Like, who are the people who are most likely to give you referrals, your parents and your sister and brother, right? And your good friends, right? Well, make sure that you're loving on them in a sense, all the time. Let them know you're in the business. But then start to develop the other people you've had business relationships with. Kelly and our team's been doing it a little over a year now. She closed 16 deals in her first year. She worked with Cox. She's been in the business world for a lot. She's like a big UGA supporter and on one of their teams, but she's relentlessly worked her database to develop part of her business. She also had a large part from Zillow before she joined our team also. But she got herself out there, and it's starting to pay dividends. And she is like the queen of, she's writing postcards every day to people and letting them know what's going on. So do those things. It's the way to get your business jump started. Because I'm sure, I talked to a lot of people who were thinking of getting into real estate, and they said, well, what's it like? And I said, it's like you opened your own dry cleaner store downtown in Dunwoody, right? And there's 3 other dry cleaners in Dunwoody who've all been in business for 30 years. How are you going to compete against them? How are you going to let people know that you have a new business that's open? And how are you going to show them what you can do for them that's better and or different than what somebody else has been doing for them forever? So you're always in that thing. The good part about it, right, is that, and this statistic holds true today, same from about 11 years ago, which is that 2/3 of people will deal with the first real estate agent they meet. You want to be one of the first people that they meet. That's always the goal, is to meet people and get appointments. Because if you can do that and they like you, you're most of the way there right then. So that's the putting yourself out there part of things. The other interesting stat I just read, and this was, I can't remember what real estate, I think it was Better Homes and Gardens did an internal survey of customers. Most people, when they list their house, interview at the most 2 people. Most only interview 1. So it's a matter of getting your foot through the door to be one of those 2 people. Most people don't go past 2. So got to be one. Sort of got to be first on the gun. There is always the message. And then educate yourself. This Ignite's a great way to start. Make sure that you know how to run FMLS backwards and forwards to make your job easier. We preach on our team, as much as we do business with Zillow and Trulia and this, that we're always trying to get people off of those searches, and we want to be the leaders in their search too. And the FMLS is your tool to do that. Zillow only has so many criteria. They can't fine-tune a search like you all have the ability to do. They can talk about bedrooms and bathrooms, but they can't really talk about, we need at least 2 main floor bedrooms, and FMLS can do that for you. or we want an above-ground pool. Not that anybody wants an above-ground pool, but Zillow won't let you specify above-ground pool. It won't let you in the same easy-to-do fashion, put a circle and we want to be in this school district. And Zillow doesn't have that ability to know that, like, there's a neighborhood, Fontainebleau, for those of you who know sort of Dunwoody, that always sells in, well, half of the neighborhood's in DeKalb and half of it's in Gwinnett, so the schools are different, and which one's different. I mean, Zillow doesn't know those things that you do when you develop your local market knowledge and know how to translate it to people. So take advantage of all these things so you can rattle off these statistics. Like, for me, because I live in Forsyth County, I can talk to anybody about Forsyth and convince them they need to buy a house there. And I'm like, buying property in Forsyth County is the biggest no-brainer in the history of Earth. I don't know if any of you guys remember that radio ad, I can't remember, it was for something in real estate or mortgage lending.
Mortgages.
Yeah. And said, population right now 230,000, projected by 2050 to be 430,000. So the county's almost going to double in size. It's Georgia's fastest growing county. It was the 11th fastest growing county in America over the last decade. It has the highest average median income of any county in the state of Georgia. It has the #1 ranked schools for a county-wide in the state of Georgia, right? So right now, Forsyth's one of the more affordable places in metro Atlanta, but with that influx of people, property values have been going up dramatically and are going to continue to do so. So the house that you can find for $275,000 now, right? Well, in 2012, that house that now costs $275,000 cost you about $165,000. So with that amount of population coming in, builders, for the most part, have a tough time touching $300,000 as a price point because the price of land has gone up. All of the lots and subdivisions they bought during the real estate crash are all over now. So they have to pay a lot for lots, so they have to build more expensive houses. So if you're buying at $275,000 and everything new is $375,000 and above, for the most part, you have instant equity in what you buy. And so it's a business discussion with people, and they're like, you need to be able to rattle off in your area something like that. I'm going to show you places to give you the stats to do it, and we'll get real specific on on that kind of stuff in here, because I want to show you how to use systems and how to do it yourself. Because again, it's tough to I think to price a house correctly. And do. So stop me whenever you want, because I'll just talk on and on and on. Too. So, all right. So you're going to see, and with that is knowing your market statistics, because that is extremely important of pricing a house correctly. Because real estate values go up and down all the time. Since 2012, the market overall in Metro Atlanta is up about 82% in terms of price appreciation. And what we started to see in April, the summer before last, so 2018, was the market had been screaming hot, going up, 7, 8, 9%, depending on where you were in any part of Metro Atlanta on a year-over-year basis. So prices were really going up. And it was in April, 2018, that we finally started to see people starting to put the brakes on and saying, okay, I am not paying that much for this house. It needs $30,000 worth of work. It is just not, hey ladies.
Hey.
It is, I'm just not going to do it. It's priced too high, and it was the first time that we started to see the market have some more opportunities for buyers and prices starting to soften a little bit. At the same time, inventory is still really tight, and people will always pay for homes that are in fantastic shape, I think is one of the lessons I've learned in real estate. If you have a great house that somebody can walk into and they're like, it does not need a thing, it will sell. And if it's priced correctly, it'll sell very close to list price or even above. Homes that need a lot of work, that is not going to be the case, and that's where the buyer finally pulled back a little bit too. But you need to know how to access those stats so you can get into the pricing dynamic, and that's what we're going to talk about a bit today. So today's expectations, no market statistics, and that's all on page, what's that, today's expectations, page 5. I'll refer to this thing a little bit, but most of it will work on real stuff. So, study market fundamental to discover the top pricing strategies for pricing a property, learn to prepare a CMA, learn pricing presentation scripts and objection handlers. We'll do a little bit of that. Standard techniques to deliver a great CMA and your price recommendation. And then moving ahead to, page 10 is presenting your CMA and discussing pricing with the seller are the two major components of the listing appointment. So what was class 4? What was that one about? That was
With the listing?
For listing.
Oh, okay, so
Sell your listing.
sell your listing. Okay, so that was selling yourself, trying to get the listing, right? Okay. So yeah, we'll talk about then one of those components is delivering the price part, because that's what everybody wants to know. Because to a large extent, when you go on listing presentations, it's what's the price you think I can sell my house for? That's really at the end of the day what people are focused on. Your job's to get them a little bit out of that, and I use a very collaborative method of doing pricing with people, because I ultimately want them and me to be on the same page, and I've walked away from listings where people are clearly not prepared to sell their house at the price it's going to sell for in the marketplace too. That's real tough to do when you're trying to get your first listing, right? But you have to know enough to know if a house is going to sell or not sell and what price range it should sell in. So I preach, don't take overpriced listings. All they do is suck a bunch of money out of you, and you're not going to make anybody happy. I'll take an overpriced listing if I think the person's realistic about dropping their price in a very short amount of time, because you got some people who just want to test the market, right? But I'll put in the listing agreement like, all right, we agree that if we don't have any offers in the first 2 weeks that we're going to drop the price to this. So you get them to agree to it up front, makes things work a little bit. So making it happen, pricing, that's page 11. So how markets work, local market conditions, pricing criteria, right? Because this will be some of the stuff that they ask in the questions and everything. So they say 2 principles of marketing value provide a great foundation for pricing any real estate. Markets operate on supply and demand. What are we in overall in Metro Atlanta? Is it a buyer's market or seller's? Overall it is. What's the place where it's not a seller's market? That's price point. You get above, depending on your area, right?
600,000 or something like that, 700,000.
Depends exactly where you are, but yeah, like in Forsyth County, it's 450 starts the change, and then it goes up from there. So I'm going to show you some tools to help you figure that out. Shoot, how do I get that thing back on? Does anybody know?
You mean Stacy?
Where is there a little, hold on, maybe this is it. We'll see. Stacy, how do I turn that overhead on?
I get it.
All right, thank you. Because I don't know how to do it. I think if you don't use it for a little while,
You lose it.
as in I think I talked 15 to 20 minutes. It'll go off. Or is it Casio?
Did you say Forsyth County was 230,000 people?
Yep, it's about
And in
230,000
2030,
right now.
430 or 450,000?
Yeah, by 2050. That's the projected
Oh, by
population growth.
2050?
Yeah, 2050.
Okay.
And that's where Metro Atlanta uses the same thing. Like Greater Atlanta area is about 6.1 million people. I wasn't sure which of these two.
It's that, and yeah.
Apparently I talked too long before moving anything around.
Okay.
Are we
Kind of
being-
like a delayed reaction, Bill.
The green lights.
Are you videotaping this class?
I believe
Oh,
it
that's
is.
probably
Under
good.
surveillance.
There we go. Awesome, thank you.
You are so welcome.
Let me get it on here. So understanding your marketplace. So your office has some really cool things. Your broker pays for a service through this company called Chartmaster that puts some really in-depth charts together. You're going to have an entire one of your Tuesday meetings about some of these, but I want to give you an idea of what it looks like so you can see. So this is sort of interesting. And I'll preface this with, this was for third quarter 2019 versus 2018, right? So you can see up here, 2019 median days on market, 2018. So they're comparing those two things against each other. So one of the deals in this kind of information, because it presents things, and there are parts that I take out from my own listing presentations, is sometimes you're working back in time, because this gets produced quarterly. So this was for second or third quarter last year, September, August, September, October, right? No, July, August, September. So when we get to right now, it's certainly not the most current, but it shows trends, and that's what you're trying to show to people. So these particular charts, and the nice thing about them, like right now, this is showing it's area 13, right? Which is, you guys know about the areas in the FMLS maps at all? Yeah. There's always different ways to pull data. So area 13 is North Fulton County, west of 400. And area 14 is North Fulton, east of 400. And that's north of, basically north of the river up there. You can find your areas on, because it's a way that you sort of look at information on here. Let me just pull up a house for us here. Other way, other, not that one, 333, there we go. So you can find this if you're ever looking at a piece of property here and you want to know what area it's in. This little legend up here is a layer map, and you can do FMLS area shaded. So I can zoom out now, and you can see all the FMLS areas. You can also get to it on the front page. But it's a good way to set up searches for people or identify particular areas, because we're down here in area 121 right now. So you get a lot of people looking at the perimeter. They want to be in either Dunwoody or Sandy Springs. That definition between the two, this is Fulton County. Over here in area 121 is going to be DeKalb County. Pretty much Dunwoody, high school, city schools too, because schools are important to people. But they're just different ways of being able to identify an area so that you know what the market trends are. Because the overall pricing in one area 121 is going to be a lot higher than it is up here in South Forsyth County in 221. But this is a neat little trick to be able to figure out what areas are in if you're looking for people. Another one is you can identify things by zip codes using it. Well, maybe not on this particular one. But you can do it by cities, so it'll rough in the city outlines here for you, which is good to know. For instance, if you're selling up in North Fulton, in Johns Creek, a lot of Johns Creek homes are going to carry Alpharetta mailing addresses. So if you just set up a search for Johns Creek, you might not actually be looking at everything that's in Johns Creek. So there's a lot of wacky little intricacies on these things, but just take a look at them here and there. But anyways, I wanted you to see where area 13 was. That was the big issue with this one. So this is area 13. These charts that you have access to, and you will get this all sent out to you by your office, I think today, because I think Stacy got it yesterday.
Or tomorrow.
Or tomorrow, one of the two. It allows you to change your areas. So we were just, this area 13, let's go down to area 131. This is where we were looking at it. It'll update the charts for you. So that is some interesting info. So this tells you a couple things, like days on market, and this was primarily in Dunwoody. Days on market was down a little bit, so that means it's more of a seller's market. Price reductions were down a little bit. So this number here is how many homes had to have a price reduction before they sold. That's a pretty huge number, 64%. Sort of tells you a lot of people have been overpricing their houses in this area, so they had to drop them to find. Part of that is in this area, you get a lot of older homes, right? And some of them need some more work before they're really ready for prime time. So there's usually more negotiation room than you see in a lot of other places in Metro Atlanta. That's almost always the case. Tells you sales price to list price ratio, shows you failed listings as a percentage. These were homes that did not sell, that had a price reduction or expired on the market or were withdrawn. And so your class will get more into that, and it's usually Brad who gets up here and talks you through all the numbers. Supply of homes, 4.4 months supply of inventory to finish out that quarter. Active listings were 151, so that was down from the year before. Average listing percentage with a price reduction, 60% of homes had a price reduction before they sold. Days on market was up significantly. So these are just the kinds of statistics that you gotta have a little bit of knowledge of to incorporate into your listing decision. So, but what I really want to use this one for is just to show you some of these different things. Sold listings were up last year versus the year before in this one. This one does price range evaluation, so it sort of tells you by price range what was good versus what was bad. This chart, especially for listings, gives you a really good idea of why you want to get your pricing right. And again, Brad will go through this with you in depth. I'm not going to spend a ton, but so this is the difference between if the seller wants $515,000, based on all the statistics we just looked at about how long you stay on the market if you're a little bit overpriced, what your likely sales price and days on market was if you price incorrectly. Because what happens if you price a home incorrectly?
It sits. It doesn't sell.
Sits, right? If it's priced significantly above where the market is, it dramatically decreases your number of showings. And you've seen it when you look at pictures of houses online, right? And you will get very good at looking at pictures and being able to tell your people, like before you even set foot on the property, like, you don't want to see this house. It is way overpriced, and it needs a complete new kitchen. And there's on one picture in the bathroom, you can see there's a hole in the floor, and you're an FHA loan, and they're not going to approve your loan because of that hole in the floor. So you can save yourself some time as you get good at going through pictures, right? So if you price wrong, your house is going to stay on the marketplace longer, and the person's going to get less money for it too. So this particular sheet is fantastic. So it takes account of all that information on the previous sheets and dumps it into the spreadsheet by your area to give you sort of a bottom line what your benefit is to price it correctly versus pricing incorrectly. So when Brad talks about these things, this is the class, like I said, it'll be your Tuesday morning meeting that you want to pay attention to, because it'll give you some fantastic things to pull out for your listing presentation. And this is sort of just an overview, in area 131 in that 3-month time period. So there were 103 closings at 95% list price, 60 days on average. If the price was reduced, so 60% of all those 103 listings had their price reduced before they sold, and the sales price to original list price ratio was 91%. If you didn't have a price reduction, you sold at 99%. That's why you getting pricing right is so important, is that sort of statistic for you right there.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You said that you got the areas up there by going into layers?
Yep.
And then what? Because I don't see where it says areas.
So if you
I
pull one up here for you, let me close that out. So if I'm on a individual property and I pull up the address, right?
Right.
And then I hit the layers up here, and then it'll say FMLS area. You can do it by lines or FMLS area shaded.
Okay.
Got it?
I'm trying to.
Just it's just a neat little tool. The other way to do it is on the MLS homepage. There is area maps here.
Okay.
So you can see the whole map and click on it and it'll open. But I just think the other one's so much easier to use than this one because it takes forever to load and then you got to shrink and manipulate the thing.
Thank you.
Just to be able to find it. All right, so that's that. So supply demand, so overall supply demand, typical real estate market is how many months supply of inventory?
4?
About 6. It's traditionally considered a balanced buyer and seller marketplace. It's a 6-month supply of inventory. Customers don't understand what that means. Your clients do not understand what that means. So I tell them, I explain it to them like this. I said, so hey, in an average real estate market, there's about a 6-month supply of inventory. So that would mean there's 60 homes for sale, 10 are gonna sell this month, right? And 10 new ones will come onto the market. And, so that's what traditionally has been pretty balanced. That means buyers have enough selection, sellers, they can't sort of hold a buyer over the coals, but they're gonna get close to their list price, they're priced correctly. So that's how the easy way, I think, to describe what that is. So you can say Metro Atlanta overall, we've been in very much a seller's marketplace since about 2012. Because prices have been going up pretty dramatically ever since then. And we've especially seen low inventory levels below 6 months, in particular below 4 months now, for about the last 7 or 8 years. That's always one of the first thing I talked about with sellers after we walk through their home, you establish rapport, you sit down at the kitchen table with them then, and you talk about what your team's going to do or what you're going to do for them. If you're not with the team, that may say, listen, I know you might have talked to somebody who's on a team, but understand, they get pulled in all these different directions. You got different people calling, they don't know anything about you. You are my sole focus is getting the job done for you. So your house is the only thing I think about when I wake up in the morning, when I go to bed at night.
Suspect.
Well, that's your script for, solo agent with them too. Just, use whichever part makes sense to you. But it's, so you get to the part but what I need you to understand now is the marketplace, because for us to talk about what the price is that your home's gonna sell, and we need to understand the marketplace. Metro Atlanta overall seller's market, right? If you have $1 million house, it is not a seller's market, it's a buyer's market. And I'm going to, and then you're saying, I'm going to show you what that means, but more importantly, we're going to talk about what that means right in your particular area, so that you've got a good understanding as well. So I'll use those kinds of charts that I just showed you. But the other really cool one, you guys all have this on your FMLS page. There's a sheet called FMLS InfoSpark Stats. One of the things about getting into real estate is trying to figure out, with all this information coming at you, you could spend your entire day trying to figure out where you should go for information and what pieces you should use, right? If I'm going to sit down to price a house, I'm going to show you the 3 that I use. And this is one of the first places I start. I'll use some of the things I just showed you, Brad's going to show you. Then I go to FMLS InfoSpark Stats. Right here is a one called More Stats. It's at the very bottom. And they make you sign in again. I have a password filler called RoboForm, which sits on my phone, because you'll find out that you're going to have about 60 different websites you get into for real estate at some point in time, and I can't remember all those passwords. And
What's it called again?
RoboForm is the one I use. The cool thing, it's online, so you can put it on your computer. It's on my phone. If I'm sitting at somebody else's computer, I can pull up my list of passwords on my phone and see them too. So you can just use one master password to get into it. So open InfoSparks, go to Fast Stats. You need to click on them. All right. So This is, if I want to look at all the metro area, this is basically FMLS's whole service area. You guys know as you get further away from Metro Atlanta, listings start to fall out of FMLS and are only in Georgia MLS. Yeah. So if you get yourself showing property, I'm going to tell you, like south of the city, you get down into Fayette County, right? It's almost all Georgia MLS. If you get down to Peachtree City, 70% of the listings aren't in FMLS.
They're not.
Yep. So you got to pay attention to Georgia MLS and know how to work your searches in there too.
Mm-hmm.
You get up here to Northwest, like I was looking at lots on Lake Hartwell. FMLS has very few listed. Georgia MLS has them all listed up there as well. I can buy them a lot next week, so it's even better. So one day I'll retire to the lake up there because Lake Lanier has gotten way too expensive to buy a lot on. There's not many left because the Army Corps quit issuing permits 3 years ago. So,
Oh, really?
Yep, no more permits on Lake Lanier. So there were some lots still available that had permits, and the price of poker has gone up probably it's gone up about 70% in the last 3 years on lot prices alone. Same with housing prices as a result, they've increased as well, too. So this is the whole of Metro Atlanta. So if we do a view report here, I think this will pop up. I think it wants us to select an area. So I'll select Forsyth County just because I live there, so I can talk about it intelligently with you, and I'll show you how to pull different things. I pull this report every time I go to a listing presentation. I also will pull this report for buyers when I'm going to meet them out and show them houses, like the second time along, because I really like to teach a buyer's class occasionally here. It's an hour long. For buyers, I look at it, you're always trying to give them things that they can't get themselves to prove your worth to them. Because nobody needs you to buy a house. Nobody needs you to sell a house. You got to prove your worth to people. One of the easiest ways when you're new to the business, before you can just rattle stuff off the top of your head, is to use facts and statistics. Because people who use facts and statistics are perceived to be more intelligent, credible, and trustworthy. So a few little tools, I think, help to establish that. This particular sheet is one of them. So I'm looking at Forsyth with somebody. The second time I'm out with them, I always try to give them something new every time for the first 3 or 4 times till I get them signed into a BBA, is to show them all the things that I know that they don't, because they're always going to be on Zillow all the time, so I always think they know more than you, and you got to prove them that you don't. So this sheet then, and the nice one now, if you pull any of these, they're year-to-date sheets as well. So this was for the month of December in Forsyth. New listings were down 6.5%. Pending sales were up a little bit. Closed sales up 16%. This is all versus December the year before. Sales price was up 2% median, 3.5% average. Percent of list price, 97.7%. Inventory's down 15% from the year before. Month supply of inventory, 2.6 month supply of inventory. Total sellers marketplace, right? And then it gives you the year-over-year stats. So the big ones were, where I told you, 82% price appreciation in Metro Atlanta since 2012. Well, last year when I looked at these numbers, they were up about 8%, and the year before they were up 9.5%. 2019 versus 2018, prices were up 3.5% overall average, so about 3% median, with the number of closed sales down 2%. And that's on a county that added a lot of people too. And the big issue in Metro Atlanta, prices up 82%. What has wage growth been from 2012 to 2020? It has not been 82%. So at some point, the price of a house just gets too expensive, and that's what started to happen in April of 2018. People finally put the brakes on, say, I can't afford that, or I could buy the house, but it still needs $40,000 worth of work. So wage growth limits that top number that you're going to get for a house. People only have so much that their lenders get to lend to them, and that's why we're starting to see those numbers. And they differ every place sharp. So this does residential attached. does residential attached. There's not as much of that in Forsyth as there is down here. And then it gives you all these cool little charts, right? And that's where I say 2012 was the bottom of the market. You look on here and you're like, yeah, 2012 is the bottom of the market. So this one piece of paper does a lot for you because it's easy to understand for consumers, I think, is the big one. So let's look in what is our back. What is, let's just say that we're in DeKalb here, right? And let's look at, we're in 30338 right here, right? Mm-hmm. All right, so you can do it and then it gets down to the zip code one. So we're gonna see some really different kind of numbers here. So we see new listings change, pending sales were down, So sales were down in Forsyth County about 1%. They were down 7.6% for the year versus the year before in this particular area. Days on market was up a little bit. Pricing sort of the same, was only up 1.7%. So these were the first areas that started to rebound in the in 2010, 11, 12, where a lot of investors bought homes and people who had disposable income and rode out the mortgage meltdown and the stock market meltdown started to invest because homes in this area always get to be in demand because of proximity, to Metro Atlanta, and people want a residential neighborhood, don't want to be in the city, homes sell for a higher price per square foot here. You can see the median and average sales price are a lot higher than they are in Forsyth. I mean, Forsyth's not a slouch, but it's higher here overall. So different areas, different reports. So wherever, if you're going on a listing appointment, pull this report for wherever you're going to list it to people, because it gives them a really good idea of, hey, here's what's going on in the market. So I might run it for the county and then I run it for their specific zip code. So that's my first touch point on like, hey, let me talk to you about what the market's like right now so we know where we have to price your house for it to sell.
Can you email this report?
Yeah, this one's.
You can?
Yeah, I mean, you can just download it from here, right?
Okay, yeah, I know about downloading it, but.
Yep, you can download it. Yeah, so you just download it and put it in a PDF and send it to them. That's the easiest way on this one. And I like, it's got nice little colors, right? So that's sort of cool. So we're in 30338, and you've gotten a good idea that somebody's house, should be selling right around $575,000. Does this report tell us what the market's like in the $550,000 to $600,000 price range? No. So does anybody know about absorption reports?
No, I don't.
Couple people. Absorption reports are the coolest reports in all of FMLS, right? And they're the ones that very few agents use, and they're the ones that are the easiest to have explained to people. So from the main page, where are we in FMLS? Right here, go to reports. And get some time, just go through these different things so you know what they are, because there's neat stuff. So absorption analysis is the report. So we're going to do residential detached. We're going to do the 30338 and look a month back to see what's going on with sales in this report. So what this does is it breaks it down by price range for you. So he said this price, in general, when you go into a listing appointment, you always have a price range in mind, right? It's like, you either talk to the person a little bit on the phone, or when you're there, you're going to ask them, what price do you think your home should sell for? I try to lead them down the path before I ask that question. But if I think something's going to sell around $575, so I'm looking, so here's 30338, and there were 24 sales in the last 30 days. Here's the big advantage of this report. So the one I showed you to start with today was from the third quarter of 2019. So it doesn't completely reflect what's going on in the marketplace right now. The last one I showed you was for the month of December. Good, right? But if you're really trying to figure out what the price should be today, take advantage of the best information you can get. So this one is the last 30 days in 30338. So you got 24 sales, average day on market, 54 days on the market average that those things sold for. Average total days on market. Total days is when the house came on, if it had a price change though, it resets days on market. So that's why it's 54. Total days is when it first came on, so that would be encompassing all price changes on properties. Is total days on market. Sales price to list price ratio, 96%. So that's what people in 30338 are getting, about 96. Sales price to original list price. So that would be if you were started at 600 and then had to drop it to 550 to sell it. That's your original real list price ratio. Number of active homes on the marketplace and month supply of inventory. Sold 24 last month. There's only 50 for sale. So you divide them, you get 2 months supply of inventory right here. So pretty screaming hot marketplace overall in 30338. So looking at this 550 to 600 price point, if I'm thinking somebody should be priced at 575, this chart doesn't give us a lot of help because there weren't any sales in the last month, right? I'll look on either side of it, so homes in this 500 to 550, 3 month supply of inventory, 600 to 700, 1 month supply of inventory. I'm like, well, I think though, if I'm going to explain this to somebody a little bit more, I probably need some better info. So I'll change the months back from 1 to, I'll look at it for a 3 month period of time instead and run the same report. So now I see in this 550 to 600 that there's about a 6 month supply of inventory. Why would that be a good thing to show somebody there's a 6 month supply of inventory if you're having a listing meeting with them?
There are plenty of houses on the market to choose from.
There's plenty of other houses on the market. 6 month supply of inventory. Look at the price category underneath it. There's only a 3 month supply. 600 to 700, there's only a 1 month supply. So we've got this little blip here where homes are selling a little bit slower. It's even more important if it's a 6 month supply of inventory that we price you correctly so your home sells fast. So, it's like the damn lies and statistics thing. You can pull this information in a couple different ways to help you prove your point to somebody. So use them all.
Especially if they're on a time crunch and they need to move because their job is changing or any reason to do it fast, this would be important.
Exactly. And then, so I'll use this, and I still love like either this particular chart or, this case for getting it right.
Yeah, I like
where if you're, what happens if you don't price it right? I mean, that's just cold hard facts on what your benefit would be to pricing it here. Because what's the difference on this scenario in the grand scheme of things about pricing something at $515 or pricing it at $499, $900?
For people who are searching for under 500, it'll pull up.
Exactly, because all search engines work on defined price categories. Once you get into the higher price ranges, it generally starts, you might be $10,000 if you're 50 to 60 or, 60 to 70. Then you get into the 300s, it's 300 to 325. Then you start to get up higher than that, and people tend to search in $50,000 increments. So you might be picking up the 450 to 500 people. A lot more eyeballs are going to see your house, so that's always compelling to people to talk to people about your listing presentations. Like, there's a huge advantage for us to sell you at putting you on the market at $499 instead of $515 because we're going to lose a lot of people looking at your house who have a hard $500,000 price budget. Ralph?
Those stats are so spot on. Yesterday I previewed a home in Dunwoody Village, a brand new townhome for $610.
Yeah.
It's right on the money with that.
That's it, and it's knowing your, in a sense, I mean, if it's a great house, don't be afraid to go over, don't be afraid to price it at $615. If it's got everything and versus the competition, that this house is clearly a winner and you should be there. It's the ones that you're completely on the fence on, like, I think, because you need so much work on this house, we're going to get you a different class of more eyeballs on your home and bring you a wider pool of buyers if we price you right below that next hard break. Don't ever be afraid to overprice something though when you're in a hot market, and we'll do a specific one on that here coming up. I'll show you that one. So That's absorption analysis reports. That's part of every listing presentation for me because it's the most granular data you can get. You can pull this report by zip code, you can pull it by FMLS area, you can pull it by county, city, and particularly you can pull it by schools because schools still drives a ton of stuff in the real estate market. I mean, that's why heading up the 400 corridor, I mean, that's the biggest reason for people want to say, oh, I want to be in Alpharetta, it's like North Fulton, East Cobb, Forsyth, North Gwinnett, that cluster of schools is all really good for high schools and, graduation rates and SAT score achievements. So that's what they call that area between 85 and 75 up there, the golden triangle of real estate as a result. Because it didn't get hit as hard when the mortgage meltdown happened. It rebounded quicker as well. Thank heavens, everything in Metro Atlanta though has really been catching fire. It's like
Yes, indeed.
it was with I think the announcement of the Beltline. I remember even 9 years ago talking to an investor. He's like, I want to buy properties on the Beltline. I said, well, you know that they don't. It's not like set in stone. He goes, yeah, I know, but I think it'll get done. And I want to be the guy who owns 20 houses on the Beltline that I'm paying $80,000 for now because I think in 10 years they're going to be worth $300,000.
They are.
Yeah, and he was right.
They are.
So look for those macro trends.
It's amazing what happened on the west side.
Oh my God.
Being an investor, I mean, I could have bought a house 3 years ago for $30,000 to $50,000 that I'm having to pay $150,000 to $200,000 right now. And those houses are selling for $450,000, $500,000 when they're redone. It's just like, holy cow!
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and that neighborhood was a rough neighborhood.
Yep.
3 years ago, and now it's just the influx of all that money is just and the Beltline just totally revamped it.
Completely, as do, all the areas, and that's where, for, I don't know, is anybody a short-term Atlanta person, or have you all been in the area for?
I'm new.
You're new? Randy, where you come from?
All over, but Beaufort, South Carolina was recently.
Okay.
I lived in Charlotte for a long time.
Okay, yeah, and that market's very comparable to Atlanta in so many ways, like our sister rival city, right? Too, but yeah, I mean, all of you have insights about the places that you've lived in Atlanta to be able to show people, great opportunities for them. I sold a house like a mile from here, right inside the perimeter, and I mean, it literally, the backyard backed up to 285,
Oh, wow.
so it was in one of the little neighborhoods west of Ashford, Dunwoody. They paid $190,000 for that house, and that was 6 years ago. 3 years ago, they sold it for $325,000, and they literally painted the inside of it. That's how much property values were increasing. Not increasing quite as fast anymore, and that's what some of these charts have showed us, is things aren't gonna work quite that way anymore. All right, so this is all great, sort of little theory stuff. Let's talk about like some specifics. And I'm gonna use a house here. We're gonna price a few different houses. So I'm gonna use one that we put an offer in on, and this was. It's a neighborhood in Milton called Avonsong. So I have a client that I'm working with now who they're looking for investment property to buy. So, if you're looking for investment properties for people, and particularly they said, we only want 2 single family homes, and, our budget's up to $300,000. Then, we gotta make sure that there's no rental restrictions and HOAs. So that's sort of the Wild West, because on these forms, right, there's supposed to be something down here, HOA rent restrictions, yes or no. I always count on the fact that the listing agent is probably wrong when they put that up, So you always, if you're working with a client like this, you want to call the listing agent like, hey, do you know for certain there are no HOA restrictions? Or you just go and you pull up what else has happened in that neighborhood over the last 6 months, right? So I just ran a search for Avonsong, selected all my statuses over here so I could see the results. And then I went through all the closed listings to see if anybody had clicked rent restrictions, yes. So that gives you a pretty good idea right there. And then it was all no for anybody. And then I saw in the private remarks, no rental restrictions, yada, yada, yada. It's like, all right, great. So they're looking in all of South Forsyth and North Fulton, either side of 400. They weren't, too specific. It really didn't matter to them. So we went and had seen this house on Saturday and put an offer in on it too. So just to give you an idea of exactly where it's located. So this is in between McFarland and Windward Parkway, exits on 400, west of 400. It's located in the city of Milton, but even though I say that, see how it says Alpharetta up here? Everybody know that zip codes 3004 are match with city names, right? Yeah, so there's no actual Milton attached to a zip code. So the listing agent could have put Milton in here. She wouldn't have been wrong because it's in the city of Milton. But the system always defaults to whatever the zip code pops up to be.
So if you had listed that property, would you have listed Milton? Because Milton is a little bit more
Has more cachet.
exclusive, yeah.
I would have been on the fence to tell you the truth. But Milton's probably more accurate for somebody who wants to be in Milton, and people don't tend to cater too much up there. But people would love to buy into Milton at a lower price range, so I probably would have at the end of the day up there.
But somebody who specifically wants to live in Alpharetta, I would say Alpharetta, definitely.
Right, and that's where you can use.
So, yeah, but you don't know.
This is how you
Anyway.
know then, is to put the layer of the city in, right? And then you can see where the lines are. So that's where you can say Milton. So if you're on this side of the green line, you're Milton, and then Alpharetta to this side.
So does that green line differentiate schools, or are there
Nope.
some schools? Okay.
Yeah, this is just city lines.
Just got it.
That it plugs into. If you want schools, do they do schools? They don't do schools on here. You'd have to pick it up.
Unified school.
Most of the time, they're right on schools. Well, I'm sorry, was there one for schools?
Isn't that Unified School District? Isn't that one?
We'll see what that does for us. Fulton County, so it doesn't really tell us too much. It'll carve out, like over here in Buford City Schools are a whole different animal in Gwinnett County. Has anybody seen the Buford High School?
Is it beautiful?
Oh, it looks like a college campus.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And they're like a, sort of a, what are they, class 4A powerhouse in football and stuff. I mean, those people are all about their schools, but that's a separate carve out. City of Atlanta schools are a separate carve out, right? So you can see that down there, City of Marietta schools. So that's what it's referring to in the Unified School District there. So they operate outside of the county and tax a little bit differently as a result, too. So I was doing some prep work before we went to see this house. I'm like, all right, first meeting I take with buyers, I'm going to give them this sheet, right? I try not to, if I'm meeting a buyer for the first time, to show them any more than one house, because I want to spend some time with them and really pick their brains, and I want to do everything that I didn't do when I first talked to them, Have they talked to you guys about LP Mama scripts yet?
No.
So LP Mama is an acronym. It's what you're trying to accomplish on your first call with somebody. So location, price, motivation, area, mortgage, and set the appointment. So it's location, price, motivation, area, mortgage, set the appointment, or do they have another agent? You want to know all that stuff too. For me, the way I've succeeded in real estate mostly is being first to take people to see houses. So I sort of show people houses anywhere, anytime. And because I built a lot of my business initially, I have a lot of internet business. That's what people were calling about. It's like, hey, yeah, I see you're looking at this property. You're looking at 3381 Serenade Court. And they're like, yeah. I said, great, when do you want to go see it? I got time this afternoon. And literally, if they said, yeah, I can make 4 o'clock work, I'm like, fantastic. I don't even need an appointment. I'll see you there. I'll be driving a white Maxima. And that might be the extent of my conversation. Nobody else will probably tell you to do that in the classes that you have, but that's my whole goal, is to get the appointment.
sorry to interrupt. Another stat to add on your first listing. I read something somewhere that said the first real estate agent to sit down with somebody at a table has an 85% chance of grabbing that listing. So if somebody's thinking about listing, go get an appointment with them.
Yep, that's it. That's the,
Make an appointment, sit across the table. Even if you don't know what the heck you're talking about, just go sit
Yep.
down. Got my license, ready to go. Have a team that's helping me. Just fake it.
yeah, it's fake it till you make it. That's Joanne who I work with, her favorite expression. But now at least you know, like, oh, I'm going to meet somebody to talk about listings. I can pull an absorption report, and I can pull that fancy green report that shows what things are like. So I can go talk to them about the market, right? So you got some stuff to talk to them about right away.
And then how soon after do you get them to sign it, like a buyer's agreement or?
If I'm, so on the buyer side, I was talking about that, I'm going to bring them this sheet, right? And then I'm going to pull the sales in the neighborhood over the last 6 months. I bring them like literally 2 pieces of information. Oops. There we go. I'll bring them this sheet too. So I just ran the sales for the last 6 months, and this is really easy to do. You click over here on the left, right? So you click them all, and you go down to print, and you print. And that sheet just pops up for you, so you don't need to export it and make it all pretty in Excel. You can just bring the sheet with you. It's got all the information that you need on it. So when I go for the first time, I will bring the number one sheet, the property sheet, and I'll bring sales in the neighborhood. And that way, I can answer the question when they ask me, like, do you think this is a good deal in the neighborhood? Because that's what people are always going to ask you that first time out. I'll give you an idea. Because pricing goes on the buyer-seller side directly. In terms of signing a BBA, I generally do that a little later in the process for me. Like, generally it's after I've taken somebody out 3 times, and I'll tell them, like, the first time, I just want to get to them to know. I want them to know that they can trust me, that I need to give them good information, I tell them the stuff I like to tell them, like, hey, just so you guys know, I'm not going to sell you a house. And they're like, what? And I go, I only have one. My wife picked it out. She loves it. She'd kill me if I sold it, right? So I'm not going to sell you my house because that's the only one that I own. So I'm just going to help you make really good decisions. So that's why I'm going to give you some information like this. And I show them, like, this is what's sold in the neighborhood. And then I can say, let's take a look at if this one makes sense. So that's first meeting. Second meeting, I might bring them absorption analysis about the area, talk to them more about lenders and different kinds of loans, if I didn't do that the first time. Show them more houses, because I really like to get people excited about the buying process. I akin it to like race car driving, right? So if you ever watch NASCAR, you'll notice when they get on the straightaway, they get right next to the side of the track. They're never way down on the inside. And that's because it creates a vacuum as you drive. And if you're right next to the wall, you get an extra 3 miles an hour out of your car, right? So, and then if you're the guy behind them, you get an extra 3 miles an hour too. Well, that's my theory on buyers is, I want to show them so many houses to get them to understand the marketplace and get them excited about things so that when they see the house that they want, they understand that they have to buy it today and not wait on making an offer. And they can't do that for most buyers, right? Unless they're, have bought and sold property before. Most people would never buy the first house they saw because they just don't understand the market and what their money's buying for them. And if they're first-time buyers, they're a little scared and they don't understand the process. So you've got to be with them enough early on and have them see enough houses. And I tell them specifically, like, hey, I've showed you, it's only a 2-month supply of houses, right? That means homes sell fast. They sell on average on 45 days in our marketplace in this price range, or sometimes they sell in 13 days. So believe you me, right? We've seen 10 houses, and I say, how many would you have made an offer on? They're like, well, we really like that one. I say, great, you understood. We saw that on Saturday, and it's Tuesday, and that one went under contract.
That's right.
So all the people who are thinking the same thing as you are out there, and they're buying too. So I need to get you to the place where you're ready to make an offer. So I just like to catch them in the excitement to do it. And I think I get people under contract more quickly as a result. Then I try to wear them out. Like, I'm going to buy it. I don't want to go see it anymore.
I really like that analogy.
I do too.
Yeah.
You educate them on why we need to make a decision.
That's it. That is it entirely. You know, so, because it's not my MO. Some people are better at getting to the bottom line with people, like, you know, forcing the issue on them, and I'm just more collaborative. Like, I'll show you as many houses as you want. So one guy, 73 houses before he bought one. Now, mind you, it was like 2010. I had a lot more time to do it. You know, I said, you know, my wife's starting to think that we're dating here, Ryan. I think it's time, buddy. Yeah, he was laughing. He's a good guy. And the most, 27 houses in one day.
Wow.
I had a German guy. He was awesome. Jürgen Peach. He'd walk into a house, 9, and we'd walk out the door and go to the next one. Oh, yeah. So we went from 10 to 5, so I had 27 houses. They were all Sandy Springs and Roswell, and he bought one, so it was good. It was the second one we saw, but, you know.
I had a client once that he was like 5'2", and every house we went in, he had to go into the attic. And then it was like, I'm only 5 feet tall, you know, so I'm like trying to get the, you know, the attic staircase back up.
Oh,
Every house, you had to go to the attic.
What was he looking for? Rats?
He's an architect.
Oh, okay.
And he just, you know, I had to see that. It just about killed me.
All right, so on this chart, let me see if I can slow it up a little bit to make it a little easier to read. Nope, maybe one down then from there. So we went to see this house. My guy was interested in 3381 Serenade Court. So priced at $290. So the first thing he's like, you know, what do you think about the price on this house? And they were only showing, the house came on the market on Friday, and they said, hey, we have open houses 2 to 4 on Saturday and Sunday, no showings outside of that for our first weekend. So we walked through it and we've been to see 5 other houses. And I said, listen, if you want to buy this house, we got to get an offer in right away. I said, it's just a hot property. And I said, let's look at, you know, some of these numbers here. So, you know, the first thing I looked at with them, and here we'll go through the pictures just so you can see it because it was a good house. So, yeah, super cute on the outside, right? Looked in nice condition. All hardwoods on the main level. Nice open floor plan, which sometimes those are tougher to find. And it also had really high ceilings. Those were 10-foot ceilings on the main, so it gave it a lot more. And they have it very pottery barned out, right? So it looks pretty nice, granite.
Looks like Pulte.
Yep, no, so you'll get good at doing all these, or you scroll to that one and you can see them all at the same time.
Oh, I'm sorry, how'd you do that?
If you do, if you're just you're on the main picture, because that blows it up so you can scroll through and see better, or right down here at the bottom, it's stuff open all at the same time. So you go through and like, all right, everything's nice, kids live, fenced backyard, nice pergola. They were putting a new roof on it. The HVAC was 8 years old. The water heater was 8 years old. I mean, so these people had kept good condition on the house. I'm like, all right, so, and we had looked at 4 or 5 others that really needed a little bit of work here and there to be nice rental homes. And they were like, yeah, they said, nice thing about this is we could buy this house and put it on the market for rent the next day. You know, they're looking at a long-term investment. I said, well, that's it, and that's worth something, right? Because time is money. And I said, you know, the one thing about this house is, versus you've seen some stuff in the marketplace now, it's immediately rentable and you're never going to be without a tenant for more than the time it takes you to maybe paint and replace carpeting or any upkeep that you have to do, because it had a right floor plan, it was open. It's all the things you look for in a single family home. Because they said, we looked at 6 homes today, if you had to buy one, which one would you buy? And they're like, well, this one. And I said, yeah, for an obvious reason. So, you know, so I said, all right. So they're like, all right, well, let us talk about it and we'll get back to you. And they said, what do you think about the price? And that's why I always have this sheet first meeting. It's like, all right, so this house was priced at $298,000. This whole neighborhood is on slab. So price per square foot is not the single best thing to ever use to compare houses, but it is a tool in your tool belt, right? Because price per square foot doesn't tell you granite in the house, it doesn't tell you if it's been updated, it doesn't tell you if there's hardwood floors throughout the whole thing. So you gotta dig deeper, but it's a great way to bracket properties, is what I tell people. So we see in this neighborhood things have sold for $221 was the highest, 141 was the lowest. So I can say, hey, look, on paper, this being priced at 155 square foot and nothing needs done to it, really seems like it's a pretty good deal, more than anything else. I said, look, we've been at this open house now for 15 minutes and there have been 6 people through this already. And I saw somebody else talking to their agent outside. I said, they priced this house to get multiple offers. I'm just telling you straight out what the deal was. And then I said, okay. I said, so, in view of what we saw earlier today, and some of these homes have been on the market for 110 days and had 7 price reductions. I said, this one maybe is going to cost you more, but you're always going to be able to rent it out quickly, and time is money, and being a landlord. So I said, okay. They said, so let's come in at 305. And I said, great. So we sent in an offer at 305 on Saturday afternoon, and then the seller got back to us on Sunday. The agent was like, all right, well, we have multiple offers. We want to know by tonight at 7:30 what your highest and best is. So we came back at 310. So I was able to I said, all right, so at 310, price per square foot here is, it was a little bit higher. It might have got up to like 163 or something. I can't remember what it was. I said, I still perceive that as a great deal overall in this neighborhood. And they said, what would you have priced this house at if you were bringing it to the market? Because that's a great question, right? And it always gets them. I said, looking at what the features and attributes of that house, also looking at what has sold in this neighborhood. The most expensive home sold in this neighborhood in the last 6 months is $305,000 for a 1,728 square foot house. So I said, so I know that sales trends in this area are going to support a higher price than they offered for this one. I completely believe they did it to try to get offers right out of the get-go and get into a multiple offer situation and see how they could bid things up. I said, the biggest limiting factor in here just becomes appraisal at the end of the day, because the appraisers get a look at comps mostly in the neighborhood. Because appraisers always want to look at what has happened in this neighborhood lately that is going to influence the price. So if they can find significant comps, they'll stay in the neighborhood. If they have to go outside the neighborhood, they won't. There's always a lot of sales in here and a lot of turnover. It's a big neighborhood. For any of you who've ever been in there, there's different phases. There's some attached stuff in there. It's great schools. It's Cambridge High School District. It's close to work centers up there. And it doesn't have rental restrictions, so it's one of the few neighborhoods you can get into as an investor, because it has swim tennis too, which is appealing to your renters as well. So there's not a lot else like that in Milton, so it's always going to be in demand. So I told him, I said, look, I would tell you I'd go up to 315 personally. If I was going to put this house on the market, I probably would have put it on at 314.9 myself. And I'm pretty confident I could have got close to it too. But these people, talking with the agents, is like, all right, here's the deal. Here's how your offers would be best. Quick close, ability to lease back the home for a short amount of time. So, because my clients are looking at, they have an offer on another home, and they want a 3-day right of rescission where if they can pull out of the contract themselves as a seller anytime in the first 3 days with no penalties. Little unusual, but that was because they were making an offer and they wanted to see if they could negotiate on their home that they were trying to buy. So you could see what happened to it, right, with the W?
Yeah.
Yeah, they withdrew it from the marketplace. So I told my people, I said, hey, so here's the good part. I said, you didn't lose anything, out on anything, because they withdrew the house from the marketplace. So if we would have gotten the home under contract, we would have been out of contract already anyway. So that's just a little unusual,
How annoying.
Why did they withdraw it?
He didn't get the other
because
house?
they didn't get the house they wanted,
right.
and I guess they said we're not going to go look for another house. That's just sort of a flaky seller to me, But I would have taken the listing, knowing those parameters. You guys probably would have too. It's like, all right, well, I'm going to try to sell them this one, and I'm going to help them buy this one. I'm going to sell them this one. So, you know, it's a double if you can get all their business, you know, on that regard. So I don't know that I would have approached things any differently.
It's like they didn't believe they were gonna sell it.
Exactly.
But really, it's a waste of the agent's time.
Well, it is.
It's just,
You saw the pictures, right? I mean, so she paid for professional photography, and she spent her whole weekend at hosting open houses, and a lot of time reviewing offers with the seller to get them under contract, you know? So that's the same thing about pricing a listing wrong. You're gonna be doing all of those things, and if you price it wrong and you don't get paid at the end of the day, you know, you're out your time and money. You know, it's like, I wouldn't charge people back for pictures, right? If I made them pay for it, I might charge them like I know Joanne does. I generally don't, but Joanne or team lead will, if they want to withdraw because they're taking off the marketplace and they have to pay the withdrawal fees from the MLSs, you know, one's $35, the other one's $25. She goes, that just pisses me off.
But then when she relists it, she can start like at $315 because she knows that it was pretty popular. You know,
Right, if
until
she-
she finds her next home.
If she gets it again.
Also,
Yeah.
with the open house that she said that was banging, I mean, how many buyers did she pick up? So, I mean, there's, there, you know what I mean?
Yep.
There's a little bit of tongue in pull there, so.
Yeah, and that's why, like, I would never charge anybody back for pictures if they withdrew their listing after a month. Because I use the listing pictures to market the property to pick up buyers as well.
Yeah, sure.
You know, so that's just part and parcel. That's why you're gonna get people who want you to like take out an ad in like the Dunwoody Village Herald or something, and you're like, hey, listen, you know, that's not what's gonna be what sells your house is an ad in the little Dunwoody newspaper, and you got to be able to explain to them why. You know, which is that I think the stats now, 96% of people are going to find their home by looking online. The single biggest thing that helps sell your home online is to have professional pictures, and I'm paying for a professional photographer to come over and do that, you know. In addition, you know, it's not just about being on FMLS and Georgia MLS. Some agents don't put you in both, but I do, right? And say it's about you're gonna be on Realtor.com and Zillow, and everybody's gonna tell you they can get you on Zillow, right? And if they talk to anybody else, and so because any listing that goes in the MLS gets automatically syndicated to Zillow and Trulia and Realtor.com and Redfin and a bunch of those other places, but with Keller Williams, one of the things that my office does is they pay for a service called List Hub, which syndicates your listing to an additional 70 places. And that includes the Wall Street Journal's real estate page and Yahoo Real Estate, and, you know, come up with a bunch of names that you have, Opcity, and so that's one of the things that we do that other agents don't. You can also do in Zillow, to help listings stand out, Zillow prioritizes in their feed new things happening. So if you have an open house and your listing's 2 weeks old, that's why we generally wait at least 2 weeks to do open houses. This would be a different scenario, like this particular house. Like these people found a house they wanted. They wanted to get the listing onto the marketplace right away because they wanted to see if they could sell theirs and be able to buy the new one. So rush job there. So that's why they did open houses the first weekend. Good marketing strategy for this house overall. You know, but I would generally wait 2 weeks to do an open house because the listing isn't going to be at the top when you're looking in this particular area. If you do an open house, it pops back up to the top on the Zillow feed of homes that people see when they're looking at a particular area. The other one that Zillow does is there's an app that you can put on your phone or your iPad called Zillow 3D Home. And that's if you've ever seen the 3D tours in Zillow. Those are agent generated, so, or you can pay the photographer who you use to generate you a Zillow 3D home tour, but you just have to stand in the room and take the picture, use your phone, you do this. If you have a Ricoh camera, which you can buy, our team has one, and put it on a tripod and you take the picture in 3 seconds and you walk around the corner and it takes the camera takes the whole picture for you. It's pretty slick technology, and then it's free to upload it onto Zillow, and Zillow prioritizes 3D home tours on their listings as well. So you generally have to pay $75 if you have a photographer do it, or you can do it for free yourself, and how good of a photographer you are. And I think the Ricoh camera's like $400, so if you're going to be doing a lot of listings, it's not a bad investment to be able to do that. And then you can use that same one. You can do it you then have to subscribe to Ricoh. They have their own tour software. You can do a 3D tour that you can put onto the MLS, because you can't use Zillow's tour on the MLS because the brand Zillow. But yeah, just different ways to approach it. So that house didn't work out for us. And then we went to see these two houses yesterday. Chantress Court. So this one's priced at $292,900. So we had this one that was $298,000. It's 300 square feet smaller, right? And I'll show you. So it's like, all right, doesn't look quite as attractive already, right? Because they got the green fence here, but the fence is nice. It's like, all right, looks sort of generic, right? Not, it doesn't have furniture, so it's
1980s tile.
No hardwoods.
Yeah, no hardwoods. It's got tile. It's got that sort of awkward step down. It has granite, white appliances, not quite as she as everything else we're seeing. So in this one, carpet, it had new carpet. These, it's like old, a little bit. I mean, at least it doesn't have the complete, Formica countertops, but all brass still. Backyard needs some attention. No giant pergola, right? It's like, So we went and looked at it, but yeah, it was the inside the front door. I'll pop up a picture. You get going too fast, it doesn't like it, right? It's got that thing going on for it, which is that step down, which a lot of people hate because there's a step up in the front. It's like, why didn't they just make it, sort of a normal house, right? So we looked at that one, and it's like, we talked about it as being a rental, like what it would mean. And I'm like, well, it's just not quite as attractive as the other one. He said, yeah, I know. He said, I really think it's overpriced. So this one, when we look at sort of price per square footage, and this is where the more insight you get on how agents approach pricing. So this one, $292, $183 a square foot, right? Remember when we were looking at the price range of square footage in here, and we saw that it was anywhere from $220 to $140. 180 ends up being like right in the middle, right? It's like, that's how that agent came up with their price. It was like, it's on a cul-de-sac and it's got a fenced backyard, so I'll go a little higher than the median on square footage. But that house needs a lot of work to make it, as nice as the other one. And then it was just a little awkward with the step down in it, and just the size is a little bit smaller too. So I went and looked at Sonata Lane here. It's like, all right, it's an estate sale, taxes are senior rate, estate owned, see what's going on with it, so cute little ranch. What do we know about ranches versus two-story homes?
Baby
Metro.
boomers are moving in big time. I just did.
A lot of people, they're very desirable
Yes.
because people want a bedroom on the
Elderly
main
people.
level. I will tell you, ranches always sell for more per square foot than two-story homes do. Part of it is what costs more to build a 1,800 square foot ranch or an 1,800 square foot two-story house.
The ranch.
The ranch.
Ranch costs
Bigger
more to build
footprint.
because you
Yeah.
got a lot more concrete, which is more expensive than going up is. So the footprint's smaller. So ranches are always a little more expensive to build, but there are never enough of them in Atlanta because they're just highly desirable. So they're always going to sell for a little more price per square foot. So, all right, so we know we got carpet going on in here.
It's with the grass
Popcorn
fireplace.
ceiling.
Little dated with the ceiling.
Popcorn ceiling.
Popcorn ceiling, the one that they put the first offering on had slick ceilings. The owners had done that. The ceilings were a little bit higher. Nice plantation shutters though throughout the house. Linoleum, Formica counters, light appliances, the stove was newer, the dishwasher is, I don't know if there's a picture of it, but it's sort of yellowed and older. Like, all right, but it comes with a washer and dryer and refrigerator. Carpet needs replaced. Excellent wallpaper, right? Sort of generic-y in the bathroom. Nothing has been really done to update the house, but nice backyard. Fenced on one side and at the back, so you could fence it in relatively inexpensively. Roof is newer, vinyl siding, all in good shape. So, so we're talking about this house then. Like, all right, where's this one fit into the grand scheme? So it's priced at $157 a square foot, which is pretty much on the low end of this neighborhood. So we calculated the house really needs about $20,000 to bring it up to, like, be really nice. Say you want to put in, whether it was hardwoods or, for a rental, maybe you're going to do luxury vinyl plank flooring instead, because if you're going to let people have dogs, then that stuff is really resistant to scratches and it's awesome, easy to maintain. The perfect stuff for basements, right? For rental, the thought process is like maybe LVP is about $5 a square foot installed. It's right around $3 a square foot. You pay $2 for installation. Carpet's probably going to be about $3 a square foot, but with renters, you're going to be replacing the carpet every 3 years probably. So in the long run, you'll make out, well ahead with LVP and put some granite in the kitchen, replace the dishwasher, change out some of the fixtures. House needed painted inside, so maybe you got about $15,000 to put into it too. Versus the house we put the offer in, which we knew was going to sell for $305 or more. It's bigger, it's 400 square feet bigger, or 300 square feet bigger, 350. But it's really an attractive price. So we put an offer in on that. So at $255, it was listed at $250. And then I talked to the agent. She's like, well, the seller, it's an estate sale. He's coming in. I've got other offers. What was your offer? And I said $255. She said, other people have submitted higher offers. I said, okay. When are you meeting with them? He said, no, it's going to be today. I said, I'll send you a new offer then. So we will see. We raised our offer again. We'll see what we can do. But there's a ton of just competition in that neighborhood. So my question to you guys, they're at $250, right? Was that the right price to put this house at? If you were the listing agent, it needs work, but is $250 the right price? And what's your thought process here? What's your thought process and why you price it at $250?
I think so. It's on the low side of the price per square foot.
Yeah.
It does need a little bit of work, but I think somebody will buy it, especially at $250. I think it's the right price.
Are you leaving money on the table pricing it there? Should you price it higher?
I don't think so. There's a chance you'll get multiple offers because of the
and there are
price,
multiple offers.
The price to get into the house. So now multiple offers drives your price up, and so instead of selling at $250, now you sell it like at $265 or something like that. So just an opportunity there. I think it's priced well, personally. Yeah. What are your thoughts?
Would anybody else price it higher out the chute?
No, because it needs repairs. That leaves room to negotiate.
Well, it's not pretty.
A little bit. It's actually, flow is fantastic in the back there.
I think I would price it slightly higher, just because the closest one is at 247 and it's only 900 square feet. So I would figure I could get a little bit more for it.
Yeah, so I guess this would really depend on a conversation with the seller, for me, if I'm gonna price this house. Because obviously, $249.9 is working for them because they got me, my client, to bring them an offer that was above list, and now brought them a second offer that's above list price, right? Because we know there's other offers in play. So from that perspective, it worked pretty well. It's always a conversation with your seller, in my opinion, okay? Which is, hey, listen, I got this, this is the strategy I want to use on your house, which is I'm going to price you to get multiple offers. You have to understand what that means. We're going to put it out at 249. I think if you know in the area the way I do, you'd have to know the area the way you do. Is this neighborhood is really a focus for investors who have money because they know they can turn around and rent homes in here very quickly. The house is going to need some work. Investors are going to factor that into what they're willing to buy, or even first-time home buyers, right? Because that's a first-time home buyer price point. There's nothing that says you have to do anything right away. You can move into that house and live there if you wanted to. It'd be a fantastic opportunity for a first-time home buyer. So we either price at 249, and I know we're going to get multiple offers, or I know you're trying to settle an estate. Do you need the money right away, or do you want to see how much we can possibly get out of the house right away? And I think that I would let that dictate, because I would have put this house on for 270 if they didn't want to do multiple offers, because it doesn't raise the price per square foot that high, and it's largely cosmetic what needs done in that house, and I think there's a marketplace for.
So I've got a question on that. If you have a house that is completely redone, gutted, new kitchen, new bathroom, new flooring, new roof, new windows, and you compare that house right there, let's say they're in the same subdivision, how do you, and if you have a house that's same layout, same style, all they've done is repainted the inside, they've got the original 1970s interior, with the exception of maybe the carpeting. How do you compare those two? And specifically, I've got one that's $315,000 that is the house that's stuck in the 70s.
Right.
And I've got one that's completely, redone on the inside. I'm trying to figure out what the price the new house at. How do you really? And the 315's under contract. So how do you figure that out?
So you have the house that everything's been done to, right?
Yeah, it's my house.
Oh, okay. Well, then you're
not my house. It's my investment.
Yeah. So what you're looking at then is what are the comps that support the highest sales price you can possibly find?
Not a lot of comps. There's a house for sale in the neighborhood of 340. Same layout, redone 10 years ago. The bathrooms aren't redone So I'm trying to manage that.
Gotcha. And that's where I start looking for very specific comps in the particular neighborhood and or the area right around it, because I want to find what is the most that somebody has paid for a house roughly in the same condition. Good houses will sell all the time. It's for a high price.
Premium, yeah.
Because people want to live the Pottery Barn dream. They want to walk in, it's done. They don't have to touch anything. They can be like, this is great. I can just move right in. I don't have to do anything. Don't discount that. Did you guys ever hear the shiny penny theory of real estate?
Yeah.
All right, 2 pennies on the ground, a dirty one or a shiny one. Which one do you pick up first?
Shiny.
The shiny one. They're both worth a penny, right? You go show 10 houses priced from $350 to $375 to a buyer. How many of them are going to be shiny pennies?
All of them, maybe more.
Probably 2. If you go see 10 houses in a particular price range, in general, 2 are going to stand out. They're going to be like, oh, this is great. And then you're going to get they're the A's, and you're going to get the B's, right? And then you're going to have some C's and F's in there too. So people will buy the shiny pennies. So this was a conference call or thing that I was on, and this broker was a New York broker, and he was talking about the shiny penny theory of real estate and how he coached his team. He said, so we have a sales meeting every Monday in New York. Is a different kind of animal in selling real estate than most other places are, because it's a lot like get in a cab and meet somebody somewhere. Just super different, right? And you're in buildings. They said that our whole focus was to identify the shiny pennies that had come on the market since our last meeting, and then work our client base to buy those homes. And take them out to see them and grab them and say, hey, I've got an appointment set up at 3 o'clock on Tuesday to go see this house that just came on the market. So very aggressive in terms of their buyer strategy, which is, I've got an appointment for us to go, you know, you just better get out of whatever meeting you're in and go with me. But their whole theory was, and they've proven it time and time again, like, the better homes help sell themselves, so why don't you just take people to see the better homes? If yours is the better house, then ask the most you possibly can for it, and just make sure you market it to get as many people there as quickly as you can.
I mean, it just made me $10,000 then. Because I was thinking, driving over here, I'm coming back down 10,000.
Yeah, no, I mean, people will pay for the best house, but go back and look at the sales in that area for the last 3 months and see what people were willing to pay the most for in your price range. So, you know, if you know, and appraisers aren't gonna give you everything, right? So if it had a new, you know, this house sold for $350, same square footage, and this one you're trying to price, right? But you have the new roof, that roof is 15 years old. Appraiser's not gonna give you 12 grand for a new roof difference, right? They just don't, because they get held to specific things that they have to do, but don't discount that there are people with cash out there who will buy. And if they love your house and, you know, you put it on for $385 and, you know, you negotiate to $380 and the appraisal comes in at $377, people are bringing cash to the table and buy the house. I sold a lake house that we were under contract for $775 and the appraisal came in at $725. VA guy clearly did not understand the lake. The seller, you know, was like, well, listen, I don't care. Buy it or don't buy it, I'll just turn around and sell it to somebody else. And I spent a lot of time with these buyers, and they understood the value of what that piece of property was, because lake prices lot prices have gone just crazy. And they said, nah, we'll pay for it. But they paid $50,000 above the appraised price because they knew it was the right house. So don't get, you know, appraisal comes in $3,000 less. You know, if the buyer really likes the house, they'll come in with them $3 grand. You know? And my buyers, I mean, they had a VA loan, but they were putting 35% down, so it didn't really matter. You know, they were already putting too much money down. It wasn't gonna, you know, just moving shoves around at that point. You know, it wasn't a matter of 20% down in PMI or anything like that. It all played into it, but I'll tell you, is to take a good hard look, you know, put yourself in the buyer's shoes, like buyer coming into your neighborhood, what's driving them to look in your area, so what other homes are they gonna be looking at in that same general price range? If yours is the nicest, then wow, I'll price it the highest.
I am staging it. I stage all my houses. If the one competitor that's on the market has been on the market for, let's say, $340, which it has,
Yeah.
for 6 months. You know, and it's not new, it's 10-year-old new.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where I was gonna be, just be right at that price, but should I be ahead of it? It hasn't sold, you know, it's not a good comp.
So why is the market rejecting that house? I mean, that's really the question.
Mhm.
Is it sheerly for price, or have you gone and visited?
Pardon me?
Have you gone and
I
visited?
got a video of it, yeah.
Okay, so, I mean, does it have obvious issues, or does it, I mean, is it wacky, or
No, it's a
turn-offs for it?
Nice
I mean,
layout.
I mean,
Nice layout, nice looking
yeah, it's
house.
exact same layout. I mean, it's the same house. That's why I'm concerned. That
Different yard, different kind of street?
Similar, not
Yeah.
exact same.
Then start to look at what else sold. People are looking in that neighborhood, what else is sold in the area? Why did somebody decide to not buy that house and buy something else? Generally school district, right? I mean, that's the single biggest. You know, I mean, that just drives so much of search for people in school district.
Well, yeah, but it's public school district, so I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, so that's a good school district, you know. Yeah, so you're in a good area.
Meadow Creek subdivision, it's like Shallowford and Johnson Ferry.
There we go. All right, does anybody have a particular property that you want to price?
We could help him with his.
You wanna do yours?
If you wanna. I don't, it's not on the MLS yet.
I thought we can look
We
at
got
the
here if you
numbers.
want, huh?
I've got one that's active next door to me that I think is too low.
There we go. We'll do both of those then.
One more, I got one too.
There we go.
There's a house in my neighborhood that just won't sell, and I think it was started off priced too high, and it's just been lingering. It's the only house left in the neighborhood that just won't sell.
Gotcha. Well, let's go with, I didn't see your name.
Larry, I don't
Larry.
have anything. So if you wanna see the house, go to YouTube.
I don't wanna see, what's the address or what's the street name?
Oh, okay, yeah, you can put it in there. 4598. Well, it's probably what the picture's gonna be. It's gonna be Mountain Creek Drive. That's it.
Alright, so is
But
that yours or?
Well, that's it
That
2
was
months
my
ago.
phone.
So it's, you know.
So you rehab it?
Yeah, I rehab it.
Gotcha.
I mean, it's, the video is probably gonna give you a better, and it's not probably. I mean, yeah.
Awesome picture to put in MLS, right? Of the water stains on the ceiling.
That's the kind that you want.
It's the kind you want to buy, but I mean, if I was the
You can't smell it right now. My wife made me, when she came, she makes me let her wears masks.
I don't know that I blame her. All right, so Mountain Creek, let's see what's going in there, because that's what I'm going to look at. What's going on in Mountain Creek here? We just want to look at the last 6 months' activities, see if we know what's happening, right? And we're going to see on a map, 23 homes. Something tells me no, we don't want those ones, right? So we're over
Right.
here.
Right.
So that's Marietta, right?
It is Marietta.
Okay, so then we just go back to our criteria.
Actually, it's a Roswell address.
Is it,
It's
is
30075.
it Cobb?
It's in Cobb, but it's
Okay, there we go.
Roswell.
I don't know, some people use different things for it. All right, so we got our results now. So we can see a few things. So we see, is that the one you bought, 230?
Yeah.
227, okay. So we're looking here, so, all right, a lot of withdrawals. The reason I pull up expireds and withdrawals, I want to know what's going on for people like 4566 Mountain Creek, right? We can see that 316, 318, was it 315, and they got an offer and got under contract. So we see in the last 6 months, we only got one sale at 227, so maybe we're gonna go back and look at a year then,
What does the P mean?
pending. So now I can see, all right, so if I go back a year, I want to know what's happening in the neighborhood. So it's all the same neighborhood. So homes have sold up to 445,000 in this neighborhood. That's not a super gigantic home.
Is yours on the basement?
Yeah.
No,
Oh, yours is
ranch.
split level, wasn't it?
Yeah, so you've got
It says finished
2,100.
basement on there, that's weird.
So square footage, correct?
Yeah, it's
All right. So you
it might be 2,400, but yeah.
not the doctor's house in the neighborhood,
No.
right? But it's 4 bedrooms, so here's one that sold for 278. 21. So I'm just looking at the ones that are, you know, square footage is going to dictate a large part to like how close to the top you can get, right? To some extent or the other. All right, so we got 2 for sale. You said this one's the one that's similar to yours, right?
Yeah.
All right, so they're at 340. All right, nice looking house from the outside.
Will you make that bigger, please?
Hardwoods, yeah. We got hardwoods.
Hardwoods are not done.
There's a little difference in the flooring there, right?
I would have refinished those.
They're a mess. I mean, they're
Yeah.
not.
Yeah,
that's part
continuous
of-
flooring makes a huge difference.
Well, it's
That's-
also that may be the laminated.
One of it looks, the dining room
Don't-
looks laminated. So, you know, kitchen's relatively attractive.
It's good. I would have put hardwoods in the kitchen too.
Yep. I mean, yeah, if you're ever doing the house yourself, continuous flooring on the first level is the single best way to make a house show off the best. And no pergo. Good God, that's
What is
tough.
that weird, is it a weird little opening to look into
It's a
the-
split level.
Yeah, split
that
level.
goes. There's stairs that go down to that little living room.
That's so weird.
See, I mean, why didn't they do all the floors like that? That doesn't.
Yeah, so you got like 4 different kinds of flooring on the first level. I mean,
It's Yeah.
That would be why you didn't do that.
Dated
did you, Larry?
bathroom.
Thank
No,
you.
yeah, I mean, you can see mine if you want to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bathroom.
We'll get there.
I don't have that.
That's nice.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That adds value right there, and plus it looks like they did it really nicely.
How
so
much value would you say approximately
for
that?
the screen? So how big is it on the back of the house?
It's a pretty big size.
Yeah, it does. I mean, that's probably to put it in that's probably $25,000 or more addition. Just off the top of my head, depends if there was a deck there and it's just sitting on it itself directly, but doing the cedar beams. So versus not having one, it probably adds about $15,000 in value.
Okay.
Depends on the price range in the house you're on. So nice decks on the back. So the only thing is, so the only bad thing about that house certainly is the
Flooring.
flooring. Yep, without a doubt. And those are just the bedrooms, right? So
And the bathrooms aren't.
bathrooms aren't bad.
No, they're not bad, but they're not up
They're
there.
upgraded. They've got new lights on it. They've got granite. They did a tile
Weird
backsplash
tile
on it, put tile
situation.
floors. So yeah, overall, I mean, pretty nice house. The only real drawback on that house, I think, if it had nice flooring, it would look good. So they started at $360, and now they're at $340. So yeah, you got to take account of that.
I know, that's what I'm
And
doing.
that porch is the big, is a big deal on that house.
But it hasn't moved, that's what it's been on the market, I mean, 61 days.
Well, they tried it 365 last year, as well for 3 months before waiting another year to put it back on again. So
The flooring is big because people walk in and they're like, ugh. You know?
that's sort of it. That's, it makes it not the shiny penny, whereas the rest of the
Yeah,
house
that's
isn't bad. I mean, the kitchen is a little wacky, with the dark cabinets. It's not the light that's in right now, basically. Yeah.
Now, how would you incorporate
Yeah,
that
but I could cook
absorption
with that, right.
analysis with this information?
So let's take a look. This house right here, absorption analysis, we're going to talk to it. So we know that this is in Pope High School District. I'm probably going to take Pope High School District as the thing that's going to be the most important. So I'm going to reset the fields here. I'm going to go to Pope. I'm going to see what's going on in that marketplace. When in doubt, start at the high school. If you think it's giving you too many properties, go down to the elementary, see what's happening there, or go to the middle school. So we'll run this report in Pope.
Bill Haas said he runs his searches by schools.
Yeah, he specifically said elementary school, but yes.
Yep, I mean, elementary gets you the
Yeah.
tightest, and then if there's just not enough properties, then start to go out to the middle and then to the high school. But Pope's a really well-regarded high school. So 300 to 350, 1 month supply of homes over the last month. 1 month supply 250 to 300, 1 month supply 350 to 400. I mean, that's a complete hot seller's market, right? If you are priced correctly, there's no reason that you should not sell super quick, and it's 45 days average.
Wow.
If it's 45 days average, that means that some houses sold in 2 days and some sold in,
160.
Yeah, exactly.
Or more.
All right, so knowing that, and when I look at that lets me know I should always push my price basically to the highest possible price I think that somebody would pay for the house. I mean, that's my first thought when I look at that report. How do I get them to pay the most? Then it's how do I get them to pay the most, right? And that's your marketing piece. Let's look at your inside of your house. What was your?
Well, there's a YouTube video on it, so go to YouTube. And then put in 4598 Mountain Creek, that should come up.
It's not taken.
What the heck?
No.
Is that
There it is.
Okay, that's it. Play that.
Come on, you bad boy.
What you can hear on the outside.
Yeah, I like that.
Nice, yeah.
Nice job.
Thanks.
Well
Nice
done.
video. More contemporary kitchen than your neighborhood.
I don't get the appliances stolen out of East Cobb and get them downtown.
nice. So you got some real contemporary looking stuff. Your flooring's looking nice. Yeah, it's exactly the same, isn't it?
That's the only cabinet I didn't replace.
We also know, unfortunately, that split levels sell not as these
Well,
days ranches
yeah.
do too. But they gain a little bit of popularity because they generally have some really good sight lines in them, which appeals to millennials with open floor plans.
Your bathrooms are a lot better.
I like that.
Yeah. Yep. Kitchen and
That
bath.
look like HGTV.
Kitchen and
Nice.
bath, man. Ooh, look at those windows.
Here's the hand model.
Serene wooded lot. Nice.
That is nice. Did you say you sold it?
No, I'm actually putting the market next week. Like, I'm just
Okay.
cleaning it up right now. I put a price on this, but I don't know.
I would test it at 350.
Okay.
You'll know in the first 10 days about what your showing activity and feedback is like. Like, why wouldn't you? Because you've got.
I was driving over here and I was thinking maybe I should be lowering it. So that's what I was thinking over the weekend when I did my analysis. But
So, why wouldn't you redo the floors as well and do them in that, what's the chocolate or the dark?
they were done. Those are the floors.
I'm talking the stain, a little bit darker.
Because because I sent my wife over to pick up whatever showing it on that phone. And that's what she picked up.
I like the lighter.
The darker floors are starting to go out of style.
Are they?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
yeah.
because if you live with like that real espresso dark.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Yeah, you'll find out
It's
that it
fancy.
shows
See all
dirt's
of
like
it.
nobody's
Wow.
business.
I hate it. I have it in my house. I hate it.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. It's
What
it's
would
been
you
hot
do
for a while.
now
1,300
as
square
a
foot
buyer?
home.
Because the area that I wanted to buy in, I'm noticing the property values are falling.
13,000.
So I don't wanna buy it at say
I said
200,
1,300.
and then 6 months from now it's worth 180.
I gotta change it.
Where are you?
DeKalb County, more like Lithonia, Ellenwood, over that area.
Let's just look at a, so I always tell people like, try to get a really good bead on.
And there's like an area in Ellenwood they're fine, I think it's because of the landfill. So I don't know if something happened with the landfill, or people just don't wanna be near it.
People did not want to be by landfills.
I mean, like, the houses are huge, they're like amazing, like, the one bedroom was the size of the master bed in the one house was the size of a, like, one bedroom apartment. It was huge. But
Yeah,
I'm
so-
figuring there's gotta be some, I know the landfill is there, but I mean, like,
I used to be in the waste business. Yeah, I wouldn't for one, but,
so that's what's making that.
Yeah, I used to sell trash compactors. That's enough.
But I'm noticing, like,
I
even
was in
farther
medical
out in
waste.
Lithonia, like, the values are falling, like, relatively fast.
Yeah, so looking at this in Lithonia, this is just overall absorption analysis report. So we see overall 2 months supply of inventory, right? But we see this blip at 250 to 300 where there's a 7-month supply of inventory right in there. So investors are buying a lot down in this particular area. They can get into this 350 to 400. And this is looking 3 months back, so it's fairly relevant there. But let's see what really happened over the last year in Lithonia, just because this will give us what happened for the year in that area. So I'm going to look at more stats, and I'm going to.
They just lowered it too.
Yeah, they like keep falling, so it's kind of like, do I wait and let it kind of bottom out a little bit?
Because, overall, the vote in Atlanta is still rising. You get pockets where things aren't quite as robust as other places, but we would still expect, so we're in Gwinnett. Which part is Lithonia?
DeKalb.
Oh, I'm sorry. There we go. That would be why. Right? Where gets us to Lithonia? There we go. So we see for the year, median sales price down 7%, average sales price down 6%. And then it's about identifying what the reason is. Yeah, I mean, because I'm sure in some places, properties might have gone up, others might have gone down, but what's driving?
Yeah, I'm confused. It's like, I don't know what I understand. Like, Thonia, traffic isn't that bad.
Yeah.
And it's like, but it's like that whole area, they just seem to be falling. And
Yeah.
I don't understand why. There's a lot of new development.
Right.
Like, there's a lot going on I don't understand.
So I tell you, I would talk to other real estate people who work that area, like that's way far away from me, so I know nothing about it. But, but your instinct here is correct, because you look at this and you see average and median price are down in 2019 versus 18, so that's just a matter of figuring it out.
Does crime have a lot to do with that? Because DeKalb, if you look at the news last year, you would not even want to drive in DeKalb County.
Yeah.
Because the crime has been horrible in the area, and I'm thinking maybe that would have something to do with it.
Yeah, anything going on, so if it's the trash place, if it's crime, if it's schools, DeKalb schools got unaccredited.
Yeah,
That was about
yeah.
6 years ago before they got it back together, so all of those things are gonna have an impact on your property
So like,
values.
maybe we should take it, cause like crime-wise, there is one part I wouldn't live, that I noticed when I lived here before, and like I went to the Walmart now, like I don't even want to shop there.
Yeah.
But schools aren't a matter for me. I'm just wondering, like with this trend of the prices falling, I'm just wondering if there's any way to project how long that's gonna last.
That is, I don't know that you can predict how long it's gonna last. I think it's always about the big picture, right? What is, this is a cool site, by the way, crimemapping.com. So you can enter in, let's just pick Lithonia.
Yeah, like I know there was a shooting at the mall and different stuff, so that could happen.
Lithonia. It's giving me Lithuania, whatever the heck that is. I guess that's right?
Yeah, they just made up
Just
real
spelled it wrong.
Likes Lithuania. There's different tools like this available to you. This one's crimemapping.com. There's another one, crimereports.com. So you sort of set over here, it's like the date range was the 9th through the 15th, the last 7 days, and it pops up everything that happened in that area. It only pops it up if the that city subscribes to that one. That's why sometimes you have to check a couple different. So there's crimereports.com.
Why is everything northeast of that not, there's nothing there.
It should layer it in. It takes it a second. So those are the police departments that report, basically. So some of them just don't report to the,
Got it.
So there you go.
That makes sense.
Oh yeah, you can drill down the traffic stops on there and see if you're going, oh, I saw my neighbor got pulled over. Ooh, 53 on the 35.
Well done.
The other one is
Overachiever.
Trulia, and I think Zillow too has like this color-coded map that overlays for crime on top of particular areas. So it's like green, red, and yellow. So that's a neat tool that I tell my people about, because that's one thing you can't really get into with your buyers about. I want to be in a safe neighborhood, and you got to say, listen, due to fair housing regulations, I really can't comment on like specific neighborhoods attributes, like whether it's safe or this. I'm going to give you some resources you can go and check, but I can lose my license for talking to people or discriminating against people or steering them in a particular direction. And I love to do real estate and I like to be able to feed my family, so there's just certain things I can't talk about. But here's the resources for you, and feel free to make your own decisions. Because they actually try to bust people in Atlanta, agents, like the Fair Housing Authority does. They'll call you and see if you can get talking stupid.
What's that, crime mapping?
This one's crimemapping.com.
Okay.
And there's crimereports.com. Just, Google Crime Reports Atlanta, and you'll find all sorts of different resources. Let's take a break for 15 minutes, make calls, go get lunch, do whatever you need to do, and we'll come back and talk about the 2 other homes people are interested in.
Yeah,
Cause I can only see so much.
I know, I can't, I got bad eyes.
One to you after.
Yeah, I like the way he teaches. I love numbers. I love crunching numbers. I love it.
Yeah, you know what's key is knowing all these reports and FMLS.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to get laptop soon. Yeah, okay. You only have 1 month supply of homes. That's good. Huh.
Is it cold in here or is it me?
It's a little cold.
A little on the chillier side.
It is.
So, you said 350, should I didn't catch it at the beginning, should I put it 350 or 349.9? I came from a retail background.
Yeah, I
so-
put it at the 349.9.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That way you're, all websites, search engines, will say if you're 350, it'll put you in the 350, 300 to 350 category. But there are some that will break at 350 and force you into the upper category, and you're gonna miss that person
Okay.
who's like up to 350. Not many of them do it, but for the ones that do, it's like it might cost you an eyeball somewhere, so.
Oh, Lord.
So it was at the right spot.
Yeah, I think that would, but you know, your place has enough going on for it, and, you know, it's got the look that people desire, so, because you don't have to sell it tomorrow, right?
Right.
I could certainly test it and see what happens for 10 days.
Okay.
And then you'll know in 10 days.
Okay.
Yep.
That's a little bit.
Mr.
Yeah.
Khan, you said an hour and a half for lunch? Okay.
20 minutes, or 15 minutes, sorry. I wish I said that. I wish I could spend all day with you, but,
Okay, I just did a search for, I'm doing a lease in this area,
uh-huh.
and so,
I think it'd be in pretty good shape.
that's kind of exit 13 over by
Yeah.
the sheriff's department.
There you are, so you're right there.
Okay, okay. Now, the other thing is, could you please show me about the area, the map?
Yeah.
Because I
So you
still
wanna send
cannot
us-
find it.
Put yourself, just pull up like an individual property.
De Miguel.
Well, these,
Hit that.
well, lately
Ah,
are
¿cómo
all,
está?
they're all
Gotcha.
leases.
Muy bien, gracias. ¿Con qué le puedo ayudar?
Oh, here, just hit your map. We'll see if it'll pop up on there. And then here's your legend.
Oh,
Probably is in
There.
surgery. Right here?
Yep, to the right. There you go.
Oh, the layers? Okay.
There you go. And FMLS area shaded. It's not gonna pop up because you're
I
not
don't-
looking at specific
Okay,
property.
okay, well, great. Thank you so much.
Here, I mean, if you wanna type a property and then you can see, just put in your speed bar up here. Just
Oh,
type
okay.
in,
Okay, como un text wrapper.
6666018.
666018.
So it's 4 6s
Oh, 46, okay.
and no 1 8.
Ah, ok, y dijo que dentro de 10 días, ¿cuál es
¿Cuál es la
Sonata?
cantidad máxima
Nope,
que
you don't have to put
quiere-
anything else.
Oh.
que
See it
quiere
from the last
comprar?
number, just hit enter.
Oh, okay,
O sea,
okay. Sorry.
Yeah, that's speed
¿Qué es lo
bar.
más que quisiera
Now
pagar?
if you do,
Layers.
yep. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah. It's pretty easy, isn't it? Then you can zoom out.
Oh, zoom out.
Ah, ok.
No, no, zoom out.
¿Y y la casa la estarían buscando para usted mismo?
Yeah, it's really, I need to take, I haven't taken one of them last class.
It's good to
¿Y
teach
la
you all
casa la
those
estaría buscando para
tips and
usted
tricks
o
on how to
para
I've been
navigate
working in
arreglar el
commercial
hotel?
for a year and a half, so
Ah,
hadn't made a penny. Undeveloped land, so.
that's a tough business.
Yes, it is.
That is a tough business.
I've got my client sewer
Ya
though, 'cause
entiendo, entonces usted
they
la
wanted
estaría
$5 million
comprando,
for all the
arreglando
property
y
owners
tal
to
vez
bring in sewer, it's on
regalando a la familia de
95.
su familia. Más o
That's a
menos.
big check.
for all the property owners, because the county is getting it now.
Okay.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah, that area is booming.
That's good.
My clients are getting a divorce now.
Oh no.
I know,
Here.
it's a bad thing.
Ujú. No, claro. Y deja preguntarle, porque como foreclosures, la verdad que ahorita en Atlanta casi no hay. O sea, ya tendría que investigar un poco, pero ya esa tarde yo puedo investigar. Y si no, ¿qué tal? O a ver, deja regresar un poco. ¿Qué tan pronto está buscando encontrar la casa? Ah, ok, entonces una buena compra lo más pronto posible, dependiendo de lo que hay en el mercado. Ujú. No, ahorita la verdad que no hemos visto. O sea, porque ahorita el mercado, fíjese que está en una buena posición, pero eso no dice que no hay. O sea, de vez en cuando hay propiedades que están como bankruptcy, cosas así. Y ya tendría que yo investigar un poco y a ver cómo se ve alrededor en Alpharetta. Pero yo investigo y le puedo dar una llamada para decirle lo que estoy encontrando. Y fíjate, entonces lo que voy a hacer es ¿cuántas recámaras? Y está buscando casa, no quiere que sea townhome, ¿cierto? Ok, pero sí, o sea, y la casa también, dependiendo en qué subdivisión está la casa, tal vez también tenga la asociación. Pero eso ya podemos ver, o sea, ya investigando podemos ver qué viene siendo mejor para ustedes. A ver, con recámaras, baños. Creo que eso es la información que necesito por ahora. Y lo que puedo hacer entonces, ¿tiene un correo electrónico que me podría conseguir? Ah, ok, perfecto. ¿Qué correo electrónico tiene? Porque fíjese que le tengo que comunicarme con Miguel porque cambié de compañía. Entonces ya tengo información nueva. ¿Ese es el celular de usted? Ok, entonces ahorita que colgamos le voy a mandar un texto con mi correo electrónico y así para que lo tenga. Y yo lo que voy a hacer esa tarde voy a investigar a ver qué propiedades encuentro y ya me comunico con usted para darle un update.
The certificate of eligibility. for
Sí,
home-
aquí lo bueno del programa que tengo, o sea, aquí puedo poner de
Good,
qué
how are you
precio estoy
doing?
buscando, cuántas recámaras, o sea,
basically,
cuántas pies cuadradas queremos la casa,
Oh, yeah, I sold that
áreas,
house.
en qué
And
ciudad,
counselors said
las escuelas, hay unas escuelas
But I'd like to get a
específicas
quote
que
from you
quieran
because
que esté zonada la
I
casa.
bought a property on Birmingham Highway,
Sí.
and some of my rail fence needs fixing.
Sí.
No, it's a pasture. Okay, okay, yeah, that's fine. 17080 Birmingham Highway.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
No, 17080?
Hey.
I have one question. What condos in Midtown?
Oh,
In the same
okay,
building?
great.
No me dejas
Yes.
cifrar, pero yo
And
yo
we're
aquí lo mismo,
mostly,
yo
you know,
viendo
like
las
some of the
propiedades
posts,
para
I
yo
put that,
mismo
there's that
las
roofing
filtreo
tile
y yo
on
se las
the
mando a la para que veas.
$70,000.
Entonces,
and
tal
some
vez
of it's
le mando
kind of
las
sunken
imágenes
in.
más, porque
But
yo
some
no
of the
tengo
boards,
ganas
I don't know,
de
it's
no mandarlo a
so
Because sometimes you can figure
así
out
yo sé, pero yo mismo también creo que ellos tienen ayuda, pero yo también
And my neighbor was in charge of
salgan
that.
las
sold.
And by the way, I'm the house on the right. As you're going
I
down
mean,
the
because
driveway.
obviously, you know,
Sí,
higher
entonces,
And it's only
the
the house on the right.
That seems like a huge.
It's a
Yo-
white
What price?
farmhouse.
mañana me comunico con usted para
I think it was like
darle- sí, que
Yes,
But
400s,
where
and
the
they were
back
ya podemos
doors
hablar
are
one of them
along
was
the
like
driveway.
dependiendo lo del-
The other
I don't know if
parts
they
of
were
the
just-
fence are okay.
sell it for anything.
Yeah.
Digo que se llamaba Gabriel,
That
¿cierto?
would have that much of an
¿Cuál
impact.
es el
Definitely
precio?
there's like something wrong, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I
Like
wanna
it
get a
needs
price
completely
from you
gutted
first.
And the HVAC's, you know, needs to be
Bueno,
replaced
Gabriel,
or something along those
gracias por
lines.
su
I
llamada.
would see what I
Como
can
le
figure
digo,
out. from
ahorita
the
que colgamos le voy a
remarks and
mandar un
private
mensaje como
remarks,
lo
and then
Okay.
I'll just call the agent
Y
and say,
hoy
hey, I'm trying
investigo
to
de
figure out
propiedades
why your place is
y yo
listed for
mañana
Okay,
como
Thomas, thank you. I'm in class till about
The other
2.
one that's on the market.
A la hora
And then
de-
in particular, just check the sales in the last like
I
3
know.
months or
Okay.
so.
Yeah, that's what I was just looking at, and I just got the list.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Disparity.
But sometimes, I mean, it really is like that difference between the 10th and 17th floors, the top floor, so yeah, that's the
Yeah.
penthouse one. But usually, it's telling you that in the listing description, because the agent wants to tell like why you should spend 70,000 more than everything else in there for the square footage.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
my part.
Yeah, because, there's not a, there's
Showing us
a lot of
the-
history, you know, particularly when you get in that situation.
No, we're the same building, it's the same, you know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, your instincts are right. But don't ever be afraid to like pick up the phone and call the other agent. Say, hey, I'm trying to get my, my head wrapped around the price for my buyer. What don't I know when I'm looking? That's what I usually say is, what don't I know?
Yeah, it's like I own one with my brother. We just got it, and it was the inheritance. So, but I'm trying to figure out like how much it's worth, how much I could do in improvements.
Right.
Before it's just pointless.
Right, yeah.
So
you don't have to look through
exactly.
some
So
people are looking for.
yeah, and I saw someone from this office sold it in 2014.
Gotcha.
So
Oh, yeah, there you
yeah,
go.
I think I'll try to find.
Yeah, but look at like the most recent sales and call them and say, hey, so you sold this, or you help somebody buy this,
Yeah.
you work either one of those nation buyers agent. And say, trying to get an idea on why pricing varies so radically and
Yes.
how this thing coming up in here.
Yeah.
And especially, KW agents all help each other out.
Thank you.
Yeah. And there's usually, because we're 23% of the market, right? So there's usually somebody with a KW agent on a
Yeah.
recent sale.
Yeah.
Yeah, try that.
Okay. Thanks.
Right, what else we got going on here?
That's why I'm reaching out to you, so I need to do that one, 149 or something. It's not.
Makes sense.
John,
Right.
here on yours, how did you get it to kind of pull up like the square footage and how did you edit those numbers?
All right. Well, it's only 15 minutes, but I'll show you this. All right. So this FMLS sheet that pops up for you when you start searching for properties, right? If you want to see a bunch of houses, you can with this tab over here, display, has a few pre-populated things that are already in here. But you can add and make all of your own charts in here. So, for instance, I have home schools that'll break down what the high school, middle school, and elementary school is. And then I have another one that might do subdivisions to make sure I'm in the same subdivisions. I've got one that has what the list date was, so I know when the property came onto the market, so I can sort it by that. So to do these in FMLS, this is for all you guys. If you want to add in, like this one, if I want to know number of main floor bedrooms, because my person needs a bedroom on the main floor, you just get that little bar, like little thing to pop up, and you right click, insert a column, and then would add in main floor bedrooms. Yep, 4 main bedrooms, apply, and it adds it in. And then you go over here, and one of these ones you can save it. So you do, oh yeah, change the name now.
Change the name for that.
And yeah, put save, so you can come up with all different ones that you use, because there's times you just want different things.
Right, yeah, because I mean, I think like this is a good generic one to have.
Yeah, because I always like to pull list price and sales price for the closed, so these default to when I'm going out to talk to people. So you can point out like, hey, you know, so in this neighborhood, 449, 445, like, ooh, this one sold for $75,000 less. So there was something wrong there. This one sold for 10 grand more. This is a great sheet to use when you're talking to going out with buyers, particularly young buyers where, you know, hubby is the world's best deal maker ever, and the house is priced at $375, and you get it for $325, right?
Maybe a guy.
You know, even though you've given them the sheet that says 98% on average, right? So then I start to do it in the neighborhoods that are looking at it and say, hey, you've got to understand, when if we say 98% on average, some homes sell for more than list price.
Right.
So, and then you give them this.
And then they can see the numbers for themselves.
Yep, and then you can also add in here,
That's what I'm saying, I
closing
gotta change it before.
costs, which is how we're going to or it might be seller paid.
So it just says, I
Remember,
so I have to go to that now.
Do you think that like showing them like how much the seller contributed makes a difference?
I used to use it more, and now I don't.
Okay.
And I just tell them like, hey, because it's helpful to know, and particularly if I never, what is that?
It says,
One called closing costs paid by seller.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Costs paid by for whatever reason, if I go down to the close. So I see out of all these closed, right, that almost everybody got some closing costs done. Now, I'm going to imagine that that is in lieu of repairs, that's in lieu of repairs, zeros.
Why would you assume that?
Just the number for itself, 2,005. But it gives you an idea that, you know, when you're talking to somebody, it's like, hey, you know, for the most part, sellers are paying closing costs for buyers in this price range about 50%.
I've seen it somewhere.
You know, this one's higher, it's like 75%. Yeah, but yeah, it's yeah, no, that's a cool.
Yeah, because I was trying to figure out how you had those and couldn't find it. Thank you.
Now you know the rest of the story.
On List Hub, you said Keller Williams pays for that, and it goes to 70 different other sites.
Yeah.
Is that something that we need to check in with them, or it's automatic when we have a listing?
It's automatic, yeah.
Okay, so we don't have to do anything?
You would have to ask your office, Stacy, if they syndicate via List Hub, because I work out of the Swanee office and their office pays for it to be done, so. I don't know if it's a KW thing or just an individual
I'm just gonna go
office.
back to the garden.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So while we're waiting, I guess, are we waiting?
We're not waiting.
I don't want to take up your last time with this, but I just got an email to show my first house with my potential buyer.
Awesome.
So I just want to have you look at it with me and just say, if, you know, if she decides to put a bid on it, 3671 Essex Avenue.
I gotcha.
Oops.
This is my first one. I would love just to have you.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Oops. and there's not three S's
S6 good, there's been Y6 at number 25.
in. All right, let's just go to here, hold on, because it should just pop up from here.
Okay,
There we go.
Had a nice
good,
conference.
it's number 25, yes. So I just want to be able to offer some insight into whether or not this is a good price.
I've sold it now.
Oh, have you?
I just got the beans.
Oh, good.
The beans are really good.
Oh, Paula Solana, that's what I've got too.
Mhm.
No, they're not my old clients.
Oh, I was gonna say,
That
wow.
would be lucky. Okay. So the first thing I do then, I'm looking at Essex House, which is in Cobb, is, let's see what's going on in there. So we're gonna just search residential, we're gonna do sales, we're gonna drop in Essex House,
Listen, my number one thing
Cobb
is get
counties.
once I get
On the
my-
surface, that price
feel comfortable.
seems realistic, but we haven't sold in there. Our team sold like 6
Yeah, it's
listings
just-
in there.
Wow.
It's a nice little gated, it's super convenient to the highway. Essex,
Making
Cobb.
notes.
Oh, and it's detached, that's why it's not, it's attached, that's why it's not coming up. We just wanna look at what's gone on in there in the last 6 months, cause things sell fairly quickly in there.
Okay.
So they're priced at $230, $158 a square foot. So you have pricing from 172, 182 down to 148. I start with the big picture. Does their list price make sense? So seeing as how homes in here sold from 215 to 250 and they're at 230, it seems to make sense.
Seems to be
And
reasonable,
then
right.
like condos, townhomes, and
What do you say? It's out there, so.
neighborhoods where homes are all on basements are all in slab. Those are always sort of easy to use price per square foot to give you a good general idea. So on here, I'm like, they're at 158, there's another one at 171 because it's smaller. Here's a house, 157, they withdrew it, but.
That was very close,
Yeah,
yeah.
but then, so we look down here, 1452, here's three others, sold for 224, 220 last year, so their list price makes sense.
Okay, good, that's what I need.
That's what you need to know.
Okay.
Say, hey, the list price makes sense, now what we can try to buy it for is a different matter, let's see how motivated they are.
Okay.
But when you bring a sheet like that, you can see like, all right, there's been some negotiation between what's sold and what hasn't, so, and in there, it all depends on, has it been upgraded, and they had a big assessment for balconies to be repaired in there, and that should be paid off now too, so,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Okay, cool,
Yeah,
thank you.
that's a neat little neighborhood.
Is
Good.
Lake Sinclair also on fire? Lots going up, houses going up.
Where's that?
Lake Sinclair, you familiar with that lake?
Where's that?
I would
South.
consider it in kind of the middle of nowhere personally.
Ah.
I have a friend who has a house on Lake Sinclair.
Okay, yeah, I do too.
It's a little.
But there's different parts of the lake,
There are.
there's
There's
the
the
cheaper
north
area
part
and then
and
there's
the
the
south
better
part.
areas, yeah.
Yeah, so one thing I can tell you, because Lake Lanier is obviously the biggest one around here, so they quit issuing dock permits 3 years ago. So you just can't buy a lot that's on the lake and go put your dock in anymore. So anybody who had a dock permit,
Grandfathered in.
down the street from us, or 2 lots that sold, that the house couldn't be real close to the water, but they already had dock permits, but you'd get a view in the wintertime, and you'd have some summertime view. So they sold for like 175 and 180. Those would be $275,000 lots now in the space of 3 years.
How
And-
big? How big are they?
Like maybe 0.6 acres.
Oh, wow.
But
Yeah.
on Lanier now, if you want like a nice gradual slope, half-acre lot, with deep water where your dock is in water all the time, because for Lake Lanier, you gotta be careful if you're backing coast, because they'll go dry when things drop. I mean, that's a $350,000 lot on Lake Lanier right now.
That's incredible.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
a crappy house on it too.
That's just for the lot, or if
Yeah.
you just want to try to find a house that's on good water on Lanier, you're at like 550 or so. Yeah,
Right.
which is now starting to drive business up towards Hartwell, because it's affordable up there to buy a lot.
And it's not that much farther. Not
Yeah,
really.
I can get there in an hour and 15 minutes from my house at Hartwell. So that makes it viable for weekenders and retirement, which is what I'm doing. Just buying a lot to build a house on when we retire at some point. They figured like
You're the only one who
land,
know,
land
right?
prices were up 22% on Hartwell last year. Yeah, so
This
it's,
is gonna continue.
it is interesting stuff. All right, let's do another.
Can I sneak in and get 30 seconds?
Yeah, come on in, man.
Just 30 seconds.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's okay.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Sure thing.
I tried to get in the other class. Good afternoon. How's everybody?
Good, how are you?
My name's Randy Lipp. I'm with Certainty Home Loans, and I'm the affiliated lender with this office. My office is right next to Brad's. Many of you guys have walked by and seen me sitting in there. So I just wanted to say hello and congratulations on taking this step. I was in your shoes before. I was a realtor for 12 years, and I wish I would have had this kind of an opportunity. The company I was with was kind of blue and white and in a different part of the country. I was in Florida, but did well, but got off to a very, very slow start. So this will help you guys get off to a great start. The material that they're going over is fantastic. The presentation is fantastic. I just wanted to say welcome. I'm here to kind of answer your financing questions and partner with you guys on the financing. And just a quick note, Stacy has told me I think your last class and your test is what, like a week from Monday?
February 2nd?
Yeah,
February 2nd.
Yeah.
Okay. So we always have a special treat for you guys on graduation day. I take you over to 10 Lizzie's and we hang out. Are you taking this class?
No. Oh, are we in class?
Are you just walking through or what? I'm sorry, young lady. Do you know where you're supposed to be?
No, I just thought I'd check
Oh, okay.
everybody out. I knew
All right.
we had a new Ignite class. I
Wow.
thought I'd say
Everybody
hi.
loves something.
Okay. All right. Well, okay, good. Well, it's nice to have you.
It's good to be here.
This is so
MJ
cute.
Thomas
Hi, everyone.
in the flesh.
Did I hear you from Charlotte?
I am.
I sent you an email the other day. I'm Colette.
Oh, okay.
I'm Tracy.
No, this look familiar. No.
Tracy.
Yeah, yes.
She's gonna call you.
Yes. Thank you. So anyhow, graduation day, mark it on your calendars right now. I know you're going to be here. I know you're going to study hard. I know you're going to pass your test. But after that,
Use Randy. That's all I can say.
lose me? Is that what you said?
Use you.
Oh, okay.
He's very good.
Thank you. Mark it on your calendars afterwards. Set some time aside. We're going to go over to 10 Lizzie's. Have some appetizers, have an adult beverage or two if you would like to, and get to know each other a little bit. Okay? Enjoy. Thank you very much.
So
I am
Paul,
so.
Paul was in here the other day.
What's that?
Paul works
Paul,
with you.
yes,
Yeah.
Paul works on my team.
Mortgages- He did Mortgages 101 with us.
Okay, great. Yeah, Paul's on my team and Matt's on my team. So the three of us. Well, I didn't know if he told you guys about the happy hour.
He didn't, but he praised you for sure.
Oh, well. But yeah, shh, don't tell the other agents because it's just for you guys.
What time is that?
Right after your test.
Our
So
test
like
is
1
1
or
to
2?
2.
Yep.
So be
Yep. Right there in the middle of the
Monday the
afternoon.
3rd.
Oh my
Okay?
goodness. Okay.
Peace out. Let me know if you guys have any questions in the meantime or need
I'll
help.
just say, all you guys take advantage of having somebody like Randy here in the office because a good lender can help your reputation so much and help your business out for getting things done when you need to get it done. Particularly if you get the first client who wants to stick with one of these internet lenders and their loan blows up.
But even more important, a bad lender can make you look really bad.
Yeah.
And that's what you don't want.
Yep.
So, all right.
Cool, man.
Hope I get to know all you guys real soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's talk about one more house here.
Can I ask you a question while you're doing that?
Yeah.
Is there a way you can look up duplexes and quadruplexes?
Yeah, when you're on search, just go to, where is it?
I think if you go to residential, go to
It
residential.
could be residential, and then you have to do attached, and then you do subtype. No, it's not there.
That's not attached, it's, where did I see, I saw it
It
the
might
other
be
day.
in your other, down at the bottom. All the way down.
Unclick attached and then see what, oh, only
That's only single family there.
All the way down to the bottom, it says other down there. It might be down there.
Where there's a lot of, you can add all these other fields if you want to be able to search them like I have through the years, right? It's in here. Shoot, I I can't remember how to get there. Residential lease income, residential income, landlocked, commercial, no.
More.
I can't remember.
No.
When we get done, I'll
Okay.
poke around.
Okay.
I've done it before, but I do it so infrequently, because it might be under type in here somewhere. Then laundry, additional, lot features, construction, parking, special.
Wow, HUD on, wow.
Property condition, I can't remember which one it's under.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't deal with it often. All right, I know a couple of people had other properties they wanted to,
305 Sky Ridge Drive. Sky Ridge is one word.
joke. You guys know how to use like the wild card, whether you don't want to print anymore, you just do the asterisk and it'll pop it up. All right, so we got 305 Sky Ridge Drive.
Yeah.
This property has a ton of history here.
It does.
Right, so we can see back through the ages that.
It's bought and sold a lot.
Yeah, so this was leased, and then 253, 407, 455.
That one is
44,
not.
da, 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 da.
Sky, it's got Sky High Trail. That one's not.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
well, there we go. So no Sky High Trail. All right, so currently 38 photos.
So the
on-
day after Christmas, I walk out it and I'm like, my next door neighbor's house is for sale with Mark Spain. I'm like, ugh.
Brings the neighborhood down, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I hate his commercials. His voice just, for some reason, the guy sells a lot of houses. I know lots of people in the market.
Well, they bought it from him last year.
Yeah.
So they closed in March, I think. And then they're turning around and selling it now. And I just think it's really poorly priced.
So.
They just
yes.
lowered it
So if you look
from
at this,
$535 to
came on at
$550.
$550, closed last year. Or,
$509.
$509. Did they do anything to it?
No.
So that's where you're looking. All right. So then our
And
next
then
one
the-
is in Sky Ridge. What's selling? Right. So residential. I wish they had one little one that I could just pop these down for. Right. Let's do 365 on here. Let's do Sky Ridge. So we got 5.
Sky Ridge is really only a street, so that's kind of.
Gotcha. Well, here, I'll show you the
Yeah.
way that we
Yeah.
look at that. So we're going to look at this area then. So really, though, since it's only one little street and everybody's going to have sort of different names for things.
Yeah, I would say Spalding Mill next to it would also be a comparable street to the
Yeah,
left.
so you got a couple different, you can drop the radius in,
Yeah.
right? So let's look in half a mile here
Yeah.
or so. And then we'll just get rid of Sky Ridge and it'll pop everything up that's sold in that area. All right, so that's a pretty good number of things to work with right there. So Sky Ridge is 600, 535, so maybe we're gonna go 750 and under just to get rid of some of these properties. Because clearly $1.5 million house is not sort of what we're looking at. So, all right, so I got 4 bedrooms, I got 2-car garage, right? 535. So this is in essence, I'll show you the way that I'll pick out things that I want to look at. So 700 is not really going to be that applicable. This one's at 535. Well, not so much interested in what got withdrawn, but let's get us down to maybe choose some 650s, 615, 575, 535. So this is what I mean, but this is what it's called bracketing. We're getting ourselves down. All right, so let's look at that. So we can refine this list, get rid of a bunch of stuff. We're going to narrow it. So now I took that list of 23 and got us down to here. Just based on price range, because this house is priced at 535, so we're going to take a look at everything and sell for 500 and above. So we sort of noted the features of this house, 4, 3.5, 3,300 square feet. So maybe I'm going to go back and look at the square footage again. 5671 probably. Going to be a little bit bigger than our house, right?
Yeah.
So is that, the first one I want to look at is the other one. Contemporary, not a good.
It's also like down a hill like this. It's
Yeah,
like,
but contemporary, not really,
Not a fair
that comp
comparison.
for a good comp for us to use. That's, stylistically a good comp. Ranch, maybe, just because it's in the same neighborhood. Come on. That's in relatively the same neighborhood. I don't know what it looks like, but that would make sense. That makes sense to use as a comp, just because they're always going to sort of pick out the same general price range. It's a wacky looking modified Tudor, but it's a 2-story house. That makes some sense. So we'll keep all these ones. So let's take a look at this one. That was the house, right?
Yes.
509. So it looked like it needed a little bit of work. So this sold for $525.
Well, 515 really.
515. Nice entryway. Nice this. This is where, so you sort of start big, right? What's going on in Sandy Springs area? We could have pulled up the that market snapshot green report, and then I'd be pulling up, if I was going to do a listing presentation, I'd be pulling up the absorption analysis. Then I'd be looking at the house as much as I could find out about this house before I go into it. And if I'm talking to the person like, oh great, I'll be out Thursday at 7 p.m. to meet you and your husband, can you tell me what you've done to the house since you purchased it, and is the basement finished? Gives me some ideas so I can help bracket in my pricing then. And I'm going to pull the rest from the public tax record, so I'm going to know how many square footage is in the house. And when you get into basements and square footage, that's where you have to make sure you're comparing apples to apples, because finished basement square footage is not necessarily reflected in the tax record, because if you didn't pull a permit to finish your basement, it's not in the tax record. So if you have a 2,000 square foot Mac Daddy finished out basement and you just had a private contractor do it without a permit, and then it doesn't reflect, then you're missing 2,000 square feet on your listing, and you're comparing it against some other listing that has an empty basement. So you got to get specific when you do individual properties at the end of the day. The tax record will help you out with that. But this house looks pretty nice, right? I mean, it has some nice features. Kitchen cabinets are a little dated, but that brick arch there is fantastic. Granite's okay. They got the old
Kitchen virtually altered. I thought that was interesting. They basically showed it with white cabinets up there.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. I've never seen anyone do that before.
Now, don't basements,
Right there.
Yeah.
unfinished basements, don't they have a 50% value than the main floor?
I've
Would you
never
say?
heard that
No?
statistic.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's all just a matter of
Oh.
what it is and how it's done, and, you get into some basements that are homeowner specials that are, you're just looking at and going, okay, everything's gotta be torn out of this thing. Yeah, some of this stuff this is definitely, digitally enhanced, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that house sort of looks, and then they've got the basement. Oh, they actually did this, which is quite nice, right?
Yeah.
Looks like a decent lot, so this looks like a pretty good comp compared to that house. And we see that it sold for $525 and $10,000 in closing costs. So, very relevant comp for us. Just go through. So I'm always trying to find out, where does the house fit and what's available and what's sold for the features and attributes. Because home sell, it's location, right? Size, amenities and features, hardwoods, granite, what kind of condition it's in, and then it's always about the competition. So in pricing the house, I want to know what's clearly a nicer house, and if that clearly nicer house is on the market at $575, I really can't be on the market at $575. If my house is clearly better than everything that's at $510, then all right, it's like, I know my house is clearly better for a lot of reasons, so I'm going to be in that price range. Most of the time there's enough active and closed so you get a really good idea. But when I'm really pricing a house, this is what I'm going to do, is go property by property and try to find out, where does my house fit into this grand scenario of pricing and what's sold. So this is a ranch, pretty wild, sort of a Uber lodge look, right, with the wood ceilings and all the truss beams, kitchens, sort of okay, but not Mac Daddy, but nicely redone bathroom. It's got some room, nice porch, nice yard, right?
I know that house. It's got a nice, it does have a nice yard.
Yeah, so that's sort of cool. So that's sold at $535 with 8 in closing costs. Yeah, so yeah, 1.2 acres too. That has a lot of value in that area because of privacy. So then we get into 575, 5 bedrooms. I've got a finished basement that has a bedroom in it. So really nice kitchen, you know, upgraded for sure. You can see that and stuff. Yeah, but this is where I say you're going to get better at just being able to look at these little pictures and go, oh, nice kitchen, hardwoods, deck, oh, that looks great, there's the granite, there's that, you know, you get good at looking at them all, but like this house has obviously been updated nicely. It looks, you know, carpet upstairs, but that bathroom's tiled, so it's been redone at some point in time. Frameless glass shower. You know, that looks new. We're in the basement. It's got a terrace level bedroom, flat yard for the kids, sort of that bump out. Like, all right, nice house for sure. 4,000 square feet from the owners. That probably includes the basement. But here's how you find out about square footage in basements. Go to the tax ID. Anything on these pages that is a highlighted link, you can click on and find something out about. So that pulls up the map, right? If you want to know about the other agent, Adrienne Paley, there's her phone numbers, right? So, and if you want to know the tax records, you go there. So it tells us who the owner is, but then we're going to get into characteristics. So we've got, the tax record says 2808, and that would be the first 2 levels of the house, 2,808 square feet. With the basement, we're at 4017, all right? And then we can tell also the ground floor area is 1,209. That'd be basically the basement square footage right there. So MLS of 4,000, that includes the basement. So this is 2,800. So if I think that this comp was slightly better than the house that we're trying to comp against, which is...
Also sold really fast for full price.
Yeah, because that was a nice house. So this says 3,351 square feet. Let's take a look. I hope this pops up because they entered that.
Your subdivision said comp, Sky Ridge, said CLMP. Can you just go back to the other screen, do you mind?
Are you talking about this comparables or?
No, the last screen you were just at.
Let's just do square footage on this one first, and then I get to it. So building square footage, 3,351. Ground floor area, 1,224. So now I'm not quite sure. Does this include finished basement square footage or not? The 3,351?
It does.
But that would mean it's a really small house on the first 2 levels.
And it's got a weird basement with a drop ceiling.
Yeah, so finished basement's 1,032, and that's included in this 3,351.
Oh, really?
That's how I find it. So it's 2,300 on the first 2 levels.
I thought I saw 4,000 and something. I
You
don't
have
know,
to sort
my eyes are bad.
you know, you sort of have to peck around in some of these things to figure it out. And then if you get into the tax ID, it's another, let's see if we'll pull it up without me getting to it. There's a building sketch available on all of the individual county sites. I need the parcel ID to do this, which is...
In Cherokee County, they no longer give the ownership.
Yeah, that's right. I looked one up the other day, and you had to pay for the ownership.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a yearly fee or what. I was just like, okay, I'll just, and I went to Realist and pulled it up that way.
Exactly, yeah.
All right, go. Please select a report. Let's see. Or attribute report, sure. I'll see that. Oh, so this wants to download it. All of these sites are different. Where did it pull? There we go. That doesn't tell me diddly squat, does it? All right, let's get out of there. I thought that there would be an advanced search.
Maybe you can pull it up by address search. Normally it doesn't ask me to choose a
There it is.
report. Okay.
There we go. So it tells us a little bit more stuff here. Sales, residential permit values, history, sketch. There we go. So main building is 1,224 square feet. This is the garage. A2 is basement underneath. A3
Wow, little one.
is basement underneath. A4 patio. So yeah, so actually it's a fairly small house. That's the main building, and the second floor sits on top of it, right? So that tells us, yeah, pretty. So that other comp that sold that was nice, right? Sold for $575, I think it was. Seemed to be in a lot nicer shape. So clearly a better comp. So you know, I think we're starting to see where the pricing fills into these things. That's always what I'm looking for, is where the price. So yeah, it seemed overpriced when they put it on the market, and if they didn't do anything to it, prices really haven't gone up tremendously right in that area over the last year. We can go check that, you know, on an absorption report to see what prices did. And that's 30350, right?
Yeah.
So, oops, I'll just do it over here. 350, sorry, let's go there, and go here. So I'm all, like I said, I'm only using a few reports all the time. It's not a lot of them, because I've found that if I can make my own life easier, Fulton County North, oops, sorry, Fulton County, that should be right there, 30350, Sandy Springs. So we can see in general prices last year were about flat, up a little bit on average sales price. 4.5 months supply of inventory is a little more normal of a market there. That 500,000 to 600,000 marketplace will still be pretty low inventory, because just average price, as you see here, is 655, 660. So they're just trying to get out of it what they can, but you know, they seem, for that house versus what the competition had that sold with roughly the same square footage, that they got a little ways to go to be as nice as that house.
Yeah.
You know, but drill down into individual specific homes when you're trying to price your one. When I show up at the listing appointment, again, it's this sheet, it's the absorption analysis, and then I'm gonna have printed out MLS sheets for the houses that are comparable to it. So I'm gonna have the ones that I think are priced above it and the ones that I think are priced below it. I have to walk through the house and see what's going on. I have to sit down and talk with the person. You know, part of it's their motivation, part of it's, you know, you can explain the market to them. You know, really want at the end of the day is, you know, the seller and I to arrive at that same price at the same time in the same way. My job is to explain to them how I got there, because that's how the market works. I mean, the market works, you know, because people are willing to pay a specific price for the house. Where does your house fit into what has sold and what hasn't sold? You know, because if this house hasn't sold and it's 40,000 more, or you know, it's right at the price you want to put yours out, it hasn't sold and it's just as nice for the same exact reason, and it hasn't sold, then that price is going to be tough to garner in the marketplace, unless you got some extras like your house does. I mean, it is clearly a nicer house inside. The trade-off for people looking is going to be, is that back porch, you know, what's it worth to somebody? Is the bling worth more than the porch for that price? But I'd test the higher price out first.
Your curb appeal is excellent.
Thanks. Yep, it does. It shines. It shines. So yeah, location, size, amenities, features, condition, and competition. You know, that's what I show up with at the end of the day for those houses. So, a lot of the stuff we're not going to touch on. I think some of the charts that you saw and that you're going to get with Brad too will show you the effect of when you are most likely to sell. And that's on page 15 of your guide here, right? It says most offers are received in weeks 4, 5, and 6. you know, that sort of follows along with most of the things we've been looking at. Average days on market is, you know, in that 45 to 60 day range. You know, generally gets smaller if you're in that 1 month or 2 months of supply of inventory on the marketplace. The market moves faster and things go across.
What is that report called?
Local market update is what it's called. But when you're in this fast stats report, it's the only one that you can get there.
Okay.
Yeah. And you get there, that's sometimes the tricky thing on this form to figure out is it's fast stats as part of this info sparks. And you can spend a lot of time on this chart. I mean, this one does sales price, median sales price since 2016. This is for the entire MLS, but you can change this so you can see median price in January 4 years ago was 190,000, and we finished the year at 260,000. So that's pretty cool. I mean, it's basically a 30% increase in 4 years. It's just that it's starting to slow down a little bit. You can also see, and this follows along, every year for sales, right? What's the slowest sales month of the year? January. It's usually January, but December's close. June is generally the hottest selling month of the year. We sell almost twice as many homes in June as you do in January. But homes sell every day of the year. That's why I always talk to people, because if you're getting into listings, people are like, well, I want to wait until April. And I said, all right, so just so you know, in April, you're going to have a lot more competition than you are right now. And there's not a lot of inventory in your price range right now anyways. So why would you want to be competing when you got a chance for the people who need to buy a house now? There's not much competition out there, and I think I can get you a higher price if I sell you now versus everybody else is going to come onto the marketplace. And along with that, pricing goes as well. Pricing is generally lower because not as many people look in. I don't show them this chart, I just show them the chart about the inventory part, right? You know, you got more competition, but there's June was the high mark, there's June was the high mark, there's June was a high mark. I mean, it just follows along. You can also look at it in new listings. This is when do most of your listings start to hit? March, you know, and then December is by far the least amount because nobody wants to be on the market for the holidays. So yeah, all sorts of cool stuff. I don't use anything on this page really myself. I just use those three things, you know, individual sheet, what's the neighborhood sales activity, the green sheet, and absorption analysis. So like I said, you got all this information and your new agent is like, oh my God, I can sit in classes for the rest of my life and it's all coming at me fast and furious. Like, just try to find the things that make sense to you because, you know, the things you can explain to somebody pretty easily to make yourself seem smarter, like you know what you're talking about. You don't have to tell them everything, you know. But if you know the few that you're going to use all the time, then it's really easy to explain markets to people.
Is the recap, you said green sheet, absorption, and what's the other one?
Absorption report, the neighborhood sales activity report.
Okay.
And the fast stats report, I guess I'd call it. I just know for me that just tends to get me the whole way there with people. What else? There's some scripts in here, you know. I would run through scripts. Scripting, and we do script practice twice a week. It sounds like sort of the weirdest thing to start with, but you know, I always tell people, like, you use scripts every day of your life, right? Because scripts make your life easier. It's like, what happens when you get up in the morning? You know, do you hit the snooze alarm, or, you know, it's like, oh, alarm went off, roll out of bed, make the bed, walk into the bathroom, you know, brush your teeth. I mean, you have a script for all of that stuff, and you don't think about it, right? Because you've been doing it for years and years and years. And using scripts in real estate helps you to be able to just rattle this stuff off without having to think about it. So, and it helps you to be perceived as more intelligent and better able to help your people out and prevent you from saying stupid stuff too. So the more you can practice with people, or even yourself in the mirror, helps out, because, you know, at the end of the day in real estate, right? You know, working on the buyer side, it's that LP Mama script, you know, where do you want to buy your house? Oh, you're looking in Sandy Springs, great. You know, do you have to buy a house soon? Or, I mean, are you moving from out of town? That's motivation. You know, what price range are you looking in? And did you talk to a lender yet to get pre-qualified? There's some fantastic rates right now. And there's also some really interesting programs where you might only have to pay 3% down and you can avoid private mortgage insurance, right? And, you know, and have you seen other homes with, you know, anybody yet? Or are you dating other agents, or you get to just work with me? You know? So, you know, so I can rattle this stuff up because I've been doing it for 10 years, but you just want to get there quick with people. And so just approach people, I always tell people, approach them like you're at a party and you met somebody for the first time. And you're like, oh, great, how did you know so-and-so? That's the right mindset to be on and approaching clients, I think. They like to have fun with you. You know, the more they know that they can trust you and you have fun with them, you know, I think it makes it easier every step of the way.
So just remember LP Mama.
LP Mama, man. That's it. You can Google LP Mama script and you will find, also you'll probably find YouTube videos of different teams doing LP Mama script. So on the buyer side, that'll get you through dang near everything you need to know about. And on the listing side, it always comes down to price. You know, the rest is, you know, it's like, is the house in great condition? You know, is it a shiny penny? I'm going to get you top dollar. You know, if it needs a little bit of work, all right, do you want to do work, or do you want me to tell you, you know, what you're going to be able to get, you know, versus the competition now? You know, but it's generally about price. So those are the objection handlers, you know, the people who want to price the home $50,000 higher. And I usually go back to goals. Like, what's your motivation? You told me that you needed to move because you have a new job in Tampa selling. You know, I want to get you the most that I can, but, you know, and then I'll use the one sheet that shows if we misprice, we stay out of the market longer, and I'm going to net you $50,000 less. You know, that says it all right there, Tim. Like, this is what happens if we don't price you right. Like, you know, I'll price you whatever you want. It's your house. You've hired me to be your advisor. I mean, you hired me to market your home and to get it sold as quickly as possible. You and I are in this together. I don't always give somebody a price when I'm meeting with them, and that is situational. You know, if I don't know a lot about the house and it can be a wide price range in a particular neighborhood, and, you know, I'll sort of finish up. I'll give them all these stats, run them through things, and say, listen, here's the deal. I just met you, and I'm just in your house for the first time, and I'm seeing everything that you've got going on with your house. And you know what? I really want to go back and do a little more research to make sure that I'm giving you a good estimate on price. So, you know, don't tell me what you think we should sell it for. How about if I call you tomorrow at 3, and we'll exchange numbers with each other, you know, based on our conversation today, and based on me now knowing what all the features and attributes of your home are.
So you never take the listing agreement on the first appointment?
Oh, I do, because
Oh,
you never know if people are ready. Some guy started a listing presentation. He's like, oh, sounds good. 2 minits in, you know.
So you just take a
Sounds
blank
good.
one,
Let's
just
list
fill it out? Yeah.
You know, like, great. When do you want to go on the market? How about tomorrow? It's like, yeah. We always try to list our team on Tuesday or Wednesdays. It gives time for the listing to get syndicated out to all the sites. You know, Zillow and TrulyRealtor.com are pretty instantaneous. I think Realtor.com is a 4-hour delay. They pull every 4 hours. But some of the others, it takes them a couple days. So you always want to be on by Friday, right, for when people really start to hone in and look for things, you know, too. So.
Which company do you use for photographs?
Right now we're between it because our last photographer moved to Kansas and joined our team. She was an agent, but she also took our photos. So.
Because you said something Rico, you can buy for Rico Cam, buy for $400, 3D.
Rico camera if you want to be able to do 3D tours yourself.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I've got a great girl if you need one.
I'll give you your, ask your fellow agents. I'm sure you guys have an internal Facebook page for
Mary
the office,
Powell's
right?
really good.
That's a good.
Mary Powell.
Yeah, that's a good one to do. And then, you know, all these questions that you have to get, you know. I would tell you, if you're online, good to see you. If you pull off the sheets, they have the instructor sheets on KW as well. When you look at the Ignite and you're online, and you can get your student version, and the instructor version has all the questions that we get asked and all of
What?
your things.
What is that? This how to cheat?
That's it.
Circumvent.
You said, so you pay extra to, submit to List Hub?
What do you do?
Our brokerage does, our office does.
Your office does?
Yeah, so check
Go
here
into
if they do or
Ignite.
not.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, because it's just like a fee.
And it's gonna show you
Um,
a student version,
Okay.
and then an instructor version.
Yes, yeah, there's an instructor version of the sheet. So it answers those questions. Why is it important to price a home to sell? A well-priced home creates interest, attracts buyers, generates showings, and produces offers all very quickly. What are the 4 factors that drive price? So you guys get the questions on the instructor version, they can answer them for you, which is something to get in the test,
And that is
right?
just kw.com, sir? To Ignite.
My kw.kw.
Yeah, it's your intranet
Thank
one.
you.
Yeah, just look for the Ignite and one of the teaching things, and it has your packets in there. I don't know if that's where they sent you to download your stuff for your books, or they just handed you the books.
They just handed us.
Ah,
Let me double check it.
I think you would have access to this.
Oh, that's for command. But if you want to get to the
So
the
if
regular
you're on
screen,
the
it's my
intranet, right, and then you're up in education, and you're down here to
Student
Ignite.
version.
Wait a minute, he's showing us right now. I'm
And there's
lost.
the course info, and there's student resources and instructor resources.
Wow.
Oh, that's lovely.
Would you mind repeating that, please?
Just
Thanks,
do-
John.
Hey, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Yes.
You're on the intranet, right? Where am I? Maybe I'm on the intranet.
Intranet, right?
I can never figure that. this
My
one
Market
out.
Center intranet?
There we go. So this page,
Uh-huh.
education,
Oh, education, got it.
and Ignite. I mean, I have to tell you, I think our overall intranet thing is the most confusing place to try to find things.
You need to work on your profile.
Well, some of it, we had never used the KW websites before, because we had an outside website, now we're starting to use them, so.
I don't see Ignite.
And then we didn't use their CRM. Command is not ready for prime time for Teams at all. There's
Night
things
over
it
on the
doesn't
right-hand
like. We have so
side?
many just automatic campaigns, and they don't have good campaigns set up yet
Scroll
in
down
Command
to
that work right yet.
Instructor.
It's a pretty good tool
Resources.
now for a lot of
There you
things,
go.
but it'll be a better tool in the future. But for Teams,
So you gotta click on every one of
they
these
haven't
links?
catered to
Yes, ma'am.
Teams
I mean, I would just
quite
like the
correctly
goal is
yet.
to pass.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, what's your team's name?
Rochelle.
The Bolt Group?
Yes, sir.
I came up with /intranet.
Yeah,
Oh.
man. Love
Well,
it.
you can just go to my KW.
It's fun. Makes it fun.
Thank you very much.
Good luck on your place, man. Looks nice.
Thanks.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you, that was really helpful.
Hey, good. I'm glad y'all got something out of it. Yeah,
What Sunday morning?
My KW.
Oh, good.
Okay, and then
Oh, cool.
education.
Uh-huh, click on
Yeah.
education.
Okay.
See,
And
I
then
taught
go over here
college
to the
for-
right on the
Let me
side.
see, it's working, baby, it's working.
Night, education and night. Okay.
Come on. And then
I
go down here
renamed you
to
the
instructor
CMA
resources.
Jedi.
Everyone uses a link.
That's me.
I'll
Rochelle.
definitely be
And then you
Yeah,
get
call
school.
or text me.
So you're gonna
I
get
hate to type
instructor
when I text, but
Go to
that's it. You nailed me. You nailed me down.
Yeah, that was rocking.
Okay, so I went to education.
You
and
notice my peanut butter jelly sandwiches?
Oh, but some of those links are Canadian, so you only want the US.
Okay.
Size your database will determine the size of your bank account. I remember that.
Yes, the CMA Jedi.
So
Oh my goodness.
you get all the answers.
That's the best thing to do is just click around on all this stuff. I'd say find it all out.
Yeah,
Okay.
alright, it's all coming together.
Yeah, thank you.
So, do you wanna practice it, or you wanna just go with what you wrote down? You wanna go back in our other office and practice it? Yeah. Let's
Thank you,
make sure
John.
you know before we
You're
leave our
welcome.
resources
It
here.
was very informative.
Awesome.
I need to go to FMLS though and
Yeah.
go learn all those reports.
Their matrix class, it's helpful, short circuit your learning.
I'm always calling them all the time, and the other day they said, "Have you taken the RDOS class?" And I was like, "No, because I'm normally commercial." They were like, "Well, you need to take some classes."
You say, is that code for don't call me no more? Is that code? Alright.
They kind of got pissy with me, you know?
No.
Now
You signed up for the class
Jacob
already?
over there is phenomenal.
You signed up for the class already?
No.
I'm going on the 25th.
Have a good one. You too.
Come on, let's go.
25th. What day is that?
Check your schedule. I know how busy you are. Let's see.
Oh, you just don't know. Let's see. 25th. What class
Let's
is that?
confirm. Let's confirm. Let's pull up my associate right here.
Let me get on FMLS. But I didn't know that Georgia MLS had 70% more.
Listed